This is it, the final day of the PMCO EU Group Stage. Day number 6, the final chance for 9 of these teams to really make a difference in their run to grab a spot in the PMCO Finals. My name's Imperium with Zute. We've got a big day ahead of us.
The excitement is in the air. This is the last and final day. We'll finally determine the top 15 that make it into the PMCO finals. And if we saw anything yesterday, it's that the teams are fighting till the very end. Every game is so important. And every game, one of these teams have a way to punch closer to the finals, punch their ticket closer to the finals. But there's multiple teams looking to punch that ticket in, and it all depends on this last day, Imperium.
Look, it might sound cliche, it might sound dramatic, whatever, but to me, it's every single second, every single minute, every single game counts, every single point for all these teams fighting for that top 15 spot. Let's take a look real quick at the format of the PMCO, how it works, how we kind of started, where we're going on from there, what these teams are fighting for outside of the final spot.
So right now we are in the group stage, as you can see on the format. The very last day, the very last few games before we move into the finals. And I mean, we've already explained it so many times. The finals, we got 16 teams. One team will be invited, so that is why it is the top 15. And then the top teams from there move on to the PMPL. So even though this is the last day for PMCO qualifiers, we still have so many more days of competition leading into the PMPL. And then once we get into the PMPL, there's another week's worth of competition. And then the cherry on top, the PMGC. That is the ultimate goal that these teams are working towards the end of the year.
Yeah, of course. It's definitely going to be exciting. A lot more to come across the board. Let's look at the points that these teams are going to, of course, be able to calculate to help themselves and what they're going to, of course, going to be fighting for in these 4 games. They're all elusive, and I really can't stress it. Across all of the 6 days we've had so far, or the 5 days coming into the final 6th day of the group stage, can't stress it enough. 15 points for first. 15 points. So many teams need these 15 points in every game, never mind just one game.
Yeah, the 15 points, the chicken dinner, not just the points itself, the last, injection of adrenaline, the injection of morale boost could come in huge on this final day. And of course, the kill points. The kill points will definitely stack up. We've already seen it yesterday. So many teams are literally within points of each other, like 1, maybe 2 points. Some teams are even tied in points. So every single kill that you see come out on your screen for some of these teams today, it's going to matter. So let's move on to the money, though. Today, I mean, it's for the finals. This prize pool,
I know,
for the teams that make it. Or wait, hold on. Actually, I'm mistaken. 17th to 32nd all get $500 each. And so that just means everybody, no matter what happens at the end of the day, whoever gets eliminated, whoever makes it on, there's a small pot of gold, so to say, at the end of the rainbow. Of course, the bigger pot of gold is if you do qualify on through. You want to hit that top 15 today, but if you don't, you walk away with a little bit of cash. So that's something to feel good about.
Yeah, it's not too bad at all. Let's look at the schedule for today's games. We know it, we love it, but once again, the weight of today, the weight of the fact that it is the final day of the group stage, just really puts so much pressure to Erangel, Sanhok, and Miramar in between. Boy, man, it's gonna count. It's all gonna count. I sound like a broken record, but yeah, it's 2 Erangel, Sanhok, Miramar. Who's gonna extract the most out of those games?
We'll have to see. We always mention how we have two Erangels just because it's a very nice balanced map. It's a map that all the teams are very familiar with. But
Yeah.
yesterday, on the very first game of Erangel, it was the weirdest circle I've ever seen. It was more difficult to
Yeah.
play than a Sanhok hardship. That's how bad it was. So today, coming in, maybe we'll get four nice zones on all four maps to really give these teams all a fair chance at securing their spot. But last day shenanigans Imperium, I've always seen it happen, be it in the form of circles or be it in the form of some of the teams that, just don't have a chance to make it and they pull off something wild. They drop on a different team. Maybe there's bad blood. Who
Yeah.
knows? I mean, I've been in the Discord chat. There's tensions are running high between a lot of these teams. So this being the last day, hey, even if the circles aren't crazy, the teams might get a little bit wild here.
Yeah, I think the right word you used there was shenanigans. We kind of saw a little bit yesterday with Seven Sins kind of dropping in Pachinki in the last game, that kind of thing, you know? And I know that there's a few of the teams at the top that, despite them, of course, maybe wanting to finish a group stage in first, they have absolutely zero stress on board. And as you already kind of alluded to, the teams at the bottom that have nothing to lose, what kind of upsets and that they cause? It's a mixed pot of emotions. Yeah, it's insane. But before we break things down a little bit deeper and go into some specifics, let's go to a quick break from our sponsors, Xiaomi. We're back. Group B, Group C, edging closer and closer to the start of their final four games. Let's have a look at all of the participating teams, Ute. See who we're exactly looking at.
Group D or Group B and Group D are the teams to focus. Oh, wait, sorry, not Group D. We have B and C. Okay, my eyes went a little bit wonky right there. Apologies for that. But Group B and C, these are the two teams to focus on. We have so many of the top teams playing today too. I'm looking at the likes of Mega Power, for Romanian boys. Like these are the teams that just pretty much already secured their ticket, and now they're just looking to put on a show pretty much for the rest of us. But there's a lot of these teams in here that have yet to break it through. I'm looking at the likes of, Defeaters, X Team, Sorry for Skill, Deuce Gaming, Red Moon, the list goes on. It is the make it or break it day for teams like those.
Yeah, we kind of talked about how yesterday the teams were maybe some of the weaker teams in the PMCO group stage, and on the opposite end, we're looking at some of the strongest teams in the PMCO group stage lobby. So it's a matter of how many points can they suck away from the teams that need it, right? How many kills, how many placements, how many squad wipes can they take away from the teams that need every single opportunity to grab those points. So it's going to be pretty big indeed. Let's go to the overall standings. Let's paint the picture on what we're looking into on today's games. Of course, the Noisy Boys, they done fantastic yesterday. Got 162 points. Last fight in second, 133. But from there, it's where it starts to get a little bit more interesting.
So we have FTY, four Romanian boys, and Mega Power, including La Familia playing today. Those four teams, they're pretty much already in. The one thing I want to take note of, though, is FTY, 4 Romanian boys, and Mega Power. If you take a look at their kill points, they're already coming in today at more than 50 kills. So these three teams, I'm worried for the rest of the lobby because of these three teams. These three teams are the Grim Reapers, the dream killers of the lobby, so to say, because they're frag
Mm.
heavy. Unlike the likes of La Familia, who, you could tell by their point spread between placement points and kill points, they're a bit more on the calm, reserve side. They won't really go out of their way to, take a fight with you. But there are three other big powerhouse teams today that the teams competing today really have to watch out for.
Yeah, you're dead right. You're dead right. Of course, Shilin on the, hate to say, on the cusp of that kind of 90-point calculated cutoff point. Let's move on to the second page where the other teams are standing. We already know at the end of yesterday's games that Entropic are in the same situation as Shilin. Unfortunately, because Shilin have more chicken dinners and a better statistics, they do jump ahead automatically ahead of Shilin, so that could come into play. But man, the Feeders, X team, sorry for skill. Yes, right now the Feeders next team are in 14th and 15th, right? But if they have a poor day and sorry for skill and 2 or 3 others jump ahead, they could be out of the PMCO group stage.
They easily could be. And yesterday, we mentioned it already on broadcast. Yesterday was the weaker lobby, so to say. So for the teams that didn't punch their ticket in yesterday, they had a easier chance, I would dare say, to gain their points. But today, even for teams like X Team, sorry for skill, we talked about that 90-point mark. They're not very far away from it at all. But this being the last day and them having to deal with the likes of 4 Romanian boys, FTY, Mega Power, and even La Familia, that's a strong team. If those other 4 teams really pop off, I mean, we have 4 games, right? And if the alternation of pop-up games go between those 4, it could very much well mean the teams that look like they're very close to 90 already coming into today might not even get the points that they want.
And from a mentality standpoint, at least, defeaters do feel kind of safe because they're on 79 points. They're 11 points ahead of X Team. So that cushion is for sure super beneficial. Never mind the fact that they are only 3 to 4 points away from overtaking 2 teams automatically that played yesterday. Right? So that's really beneficial for them. From a mentality standpoint. Only from a mentality standpoint. Let's move on to the third page where things once again continue to become so much closer. Deuce Gaming, Red Moon, Team Kingsman, Respect Esports. Those teams are just so close together.
61, 60, 60, 59. Like, it's they're a stone's throw away, right next to each other. And by the end of the day, if the same consistency comes out of these 4 teams, meaning they get the similar amount of points that they average each day, that just means they're going to be right next to each other in terms of qualifying just as well. And not to even mention, let's say these teams all get close to that 90-point mark, right? Based on yesterday's games, there's already 4 teams right next to the 90-point mark as well. So they're not just competing with each other for that qualification spots. They're competing against yesterday's performance too. So today is their day, however, to really punch that ticket in. I'm looking at Respect. We've seen shines out of them, and then we've seen them just completely shut into darkness in some engagements, particularly in the close range fights. Now, they've had a nice full day to rest. They've had a couple of days to reset, to really figure things out. Today's the day, man. It's got to come in today.
You're right about Rexpec. 35 kills, 24 placement points. It's quite obvious that they can pick teams off. But one team that I look at in amongst those four that has a pretty big advantage is Red Moon. Because if you're not familiar, viewers in chat, if you're not familiar, when two teams are on the same points, the team with the higher amount of chicken dinners will move ahead. If they both have the same amount of chicken dinners, it's a team with the higher amount of placement points. So Red Moon, in amongst those four teams, are in the biggest advantageous part of today's games. It's not much, of course, because you got 4 games, so much craziness around us. Anything can happen, but at least as of right now, coming into today's games, a tiny bit similar to the feeders, that mentality of them having that golden nugget chicken dinner on their side can be the reason why they qualify. We've seen it time and time again, right, Zute? Teams will qualify for PMCO Finals, for PMPL, by 1 to 2 points. Hell, we saw in the PMPL EU Spring Split, the team that qualified onto the EMEA Championship, the last team, had the same amount of points as 4th place, but they only got there because they had more chicken dinners.
It's going to get that close. I'm willing to put money down on it that the 15th place qualification spot for today will come down to a tiebreaker. But let's not forget about the teams on the last page as we go and take a look at the 25th through 32nd teams competing today. New names at 49, Dallas Legion at 48. That 90-point mark we're talking about, they're about 30 points away or so. So that's 100% still doable for new names in Dallas just because they're in that 4th page. And yesterday we saw some of the teams that started out on the 4th page almost maybe making a shot in. We'll have to see at the end of today, but you can't count these teams out. MDC, Golden Sport, and etc. They have a way tougher time. So I wish them the best of luck.
Yeah, of course, Nunez and Dallas Legion are going to be the two teams I'm prioritizing and looking at and getting those 4 excellent games required. We're loading into the game. Lobbies coming together. The teams, the players, they're all ready. At least I hope they're ready. If they're not ready now, then they probably shouldn't have walked into PMCO Group Stage at this in this way, because to me, this is the moment that these teams should always be preparing for. Just like you can prepare on a fantastic Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 5G, you enjoy a super fast and lag-free experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G, the wonderful sponsors of the PMCO EU West. Give or take, what kind of things are you expecting in this game one? Do you think we're going to see a little bit of aggressiveness from a couple of teams? Are you expecting a few of these teams to play passive? I know it's a little bit of a stereotypical question to ask, but I'm curious on your thoughts.
I think we're gonna see one of the teams that are already in the front page, the Grim Reaper team. I feel like one of them is gonna flip that switch from the get-go and just go full aggressive. They want to put on a show. They want to make a name for themselves, and that's the best way to do it. But we'll head on to the playing path very soon. And then another team might end up playing passive to get their rotations in, like Etropics did yesterday. So let's head into the plane. Let's get this first match started for the day, and we'll see you on the battlefield.
Good luck, of course, to every single one of these teams. A massive amount of love and respect for you all for fighting in this battlefield of PUBG Mobile and the PMCO. Just so much love and respect for all of you. But that playing path was definitely not the easiest to deal with. On the far western side of the map, going a little bit diagonally, it's going to be tough for the teams that want to drop in the east.
The start of that playing path actually has a lot of loot options. I think that's why we see so many teams already opting to jump out. Many of these teams want to employ that jump early, loot early, rotate early strategy.
True.
It might get a little bit messy, but it seems like they are spreading out from each other. We see the feeders going up towards like the shooting range area to start off their split loot. Pachinki, of course, belongs to Mega Power. No team dares mess with them there. I mean, we saw one team, Seven Sins. They tried it once, and it was not a good. It was not good. It was not good show for them. And I think all the other teams, they watch that, so they're gonna leave them alone. Oh, we do have two teams though in North George Pool that could get a little bit tricky, and the circle shift, complete opposite of the plane path. That throws a wrench into things.
Okay. Massive wrench being thrown out there with that phase one, completely opposite to the plane path. I would argue that to a certain extent, it kind of makes things, I wouldn't say easier, but it's quite obvious that there's going to be a cluster of teams on the west, so you really have to be a little bit dynamic or on point with the timing of your rotations. Indeed, Fast Romania and new names both dropping in the military base of the island. And more important for new names to come out of that fight on top, because 4 good games would 110% put them big time in the running for the top 15 spot. However, Fast Romania, they've got nothing to lose, just everything to trying to continue to prove for themselves the last day of the PMCO EU.
That's Romania. They got nothing to lose. They might just, finally flip that uninhibited aggression that they've been holding back because they've been nervous.
Yep.
I can't imagine coming into today, Fast Romania would be nervous whatsoever. They might be a little bit demoralized based on their performance, but it could go both ways. They could just end up taking this fight. Like, it's a 3v4 situation, but it looks like they are going to back off a little bit, or Simpson might just be alternating his position. This is a committed fight, it looks like. I don't think neither team, as far as Fast Romania goes, is going to back off. You see Simpson, he's holding that angle. MVP with a grenade, so he is aware. Gets shot once. That grenade falls a little bit short. But like you said, the focus of this fight really comes down to the team fighting Fast Romania. New names. They need the points here. They need that 30 points or so to just break it into the 90-point mark.
Hell covering the area. Hellboy pushing a little bit more forward. There's a decent spread from Fast Romania, because they have a few angles, although they're clearly quite heavily separated where they can kind of get picked off. I don't think Aladdin can do much for the time being. Vortex and Simpson are clearly quite closer together. To give you a little bit of context, by the way, on where a few of these other teams are currently located, Deuce have driven over to Lipovka, so they're already inside the circle and looting up. X team have Yasnaya all to themselves. You have Red Moon, they're in the Milta power region of the map, so they have an easier standing point into this phase one, while MDC and FTY, they're hanging around the farm region.
One team to keep an eye out for rotations, especially the first one, is that Mega Power team. I hope they're a team that recognize that, first initial hard shift way far opposite of the plane path, and they pick somewhere that's the strongest position in the central spot, because if they leave quick, they could easily get it. And you see teams still on your screen right now not able to rotate at all. Fast Romania, they're not really giving up on this fight. They're pressing in, and they're just holding the angles. They're forcing new names to rotate out through the north side. One of them has managed to find a vehicle. I don't know what kind of vehicle it is. It looks like it's probably not a 4-seater, though, as he's already driving off, probably looking for a different car to pick up the rest of his teammates and head out.
Although that poses its own risk, because if he picks up a 4-seater vehicle and all of them get in the car, that could prove to be risky. But instead of looking for another car, what he did was he went up onto the hillside, big brain play, and got a knock onto Simpson. I probably should have seen that coming, but we kind of automatically presumed that it was going to be a disengagement as opposed to finding a better angle. And that allows the rest of new names to push more aggressively as a trio and really look for those kills.
I love that out of new names. Hey, it's the last day. You got a team that's contesting you, and you have a way out, but instead of running away, they're willing to take the fight. 1 point is 1 point. We talk about how important every single point is today for these teams, and they took the initiative to get that point. It's great to see that they didn't just run off, but this angle from Aladdin, though, that is a tricky one to deal with because he's not exactly on top of the catwalk that a lot of players expect. Instead, he's prone on one of the stair sides. So new names, they need really sharp eyes to spot this one out. I don't even know if they're willing to commit to the rest of the teams because I don't think they have info on where the rest of the players are. They had info on that first one that they got a knock on, and a quite decisive knock. So indeed, they will disengage. I like it. Not waste any more time trying to hunt down players where you don't have information on. Let's continue on and focus on the rest of the game.
FDY made a great rotation from the farm area all the way to the compound that's a tiny bit west of Mansion. It's that kind of high ground compound. It's really great for the first couple of circles, open area around it. They might even be able to push X Team back off the back of it, so I'm a little bit impressed with that. Mega Power moving to kind of Alamo region, while Team Kingsman, very important team in this lobby, are very important for them to get some good results. They've gone from the North George Paul area into the fields of Yasnaya, a little bit deep in my eyes without stopping and getting info.
I mean, it's that first circle hardship. They could go, a lot of these teams, you don't really have to stop and scout on this first circle. As long as you know in your mind your timing is around the earlier timing for a rotation. Like if you're rotating around 4-5 minutes and the circle that came up is complete opposite of plane path, I would say yes, do your due diligence in scouting certain locations if it only takes a second or two. But anything else, it's all about that timing. It's all about, just getting there first before another team does. So I don't mind the hard rotation where it looks like these teams aren't scouting, because in this situation in particular, it works.
Yeah, fair point. Now, New Name's interestingly opted to head towards the Eastern Bridge as opposed to Western Bridge. It's not the worst decision in the world, but I would have thought for their extra security, not only is technically the Western Bridge a little bit... Actually, no, because the plane path was on the west, so maybe they think that going on the Eastern Bridge technically has less chance of being occupied. Okay, maybe they are making the right decision. What do you think?
It all comes down to just scouting the bridge properly. It doesn't matter which bridge you take.
Fair.
We saw the Noisy Boys the other day.
The Noisy Boys.
We were saying, why are they taking this bridge? There's a high chance the team is camping it. And guess what? It turned out to be a kill point for them because they knew the proper method to scout it. They knew the proper method to go across. But as far as new names go, it's not the bridge they have to worry about. It's actually the crossroads. Rex and new names kind of get caught off with each other in a time where they both want to take the bridge at the same time. So now both teams stuck in the blue, taking unnecessary damage, and they're about to also take a fight. Rex backing off. This slows down Rex rotation by so much. I know they wish they were already across the bridge by now. The second circle, it doesn't hurt too bad, but you see this player's full boosted and his health is still ticking down.
Instead of stuck in the middle with you, should be stuck in the blue with you, and I don't know what it is I can do, because Rex Spectre are now scratching their heads going, where can we go from here? What do we do? A lot of teams converge in towards the central area of this phase 2 because that shift did go up north in towards the direction of Mansion. Yasnaya is still in play, uncalled for, have now gone into the Mansion building. It's a good place to go. Red Moon are close by in the east. They're actually getting shot at by a solo player inside that building. Nice play by Fella God of Mega Power.
Good putting out the pressure. His teammate is Restware on the map holding a very wide split. So when you are playing split, you want to take as many shots as you can, make as many noise as you can. He actually got a few shots onto that Red Moon player. So good aim as well. Deuce up here, one of the teams we do want to focus on. Deuce coming in to today with 61 points. Definitely doable for them to qualify. They're 4-stacked right now on top of the high ground. We usually like to see more of a split, at least closer splits this early into the game. But that high ground position is a really strong one, so 4-stacking it, definitely not a problem. They control a lot around them, and they definitely see this Red Moon team rotating by them.
Yeah, I was talking to Daddy on Discord and asking him, like, you know, are you confident about qualifying for the finals today? And he said, yes, 100%. Made some adjustments in the lineup. I believe we should be the strongest version of the team. And they just plan on playing the same way they did on the second day. And to be fair, their second day, their second 4 set of games were definitely more impressive than their first. So let's see how it works out for them while MDC gets a knock nicely done onto one of the La Familia players.
The DP4X, one of the strongest long-range guns. I'd almost argue better than a bolt action. I've seen the DP drop players faster than somebody trying to aim for that headshot with a sniper. We have 3 teams all around here, but they're pretty much set up in their own respective spots. It's just going to be long-range knocks back and forth. La Familia holding that area down. It's more so on the edge, though, as we shift into the next circle. Now, Rex, they've managed to take that bridge across. They've managed to see new names have left. And what? I can't imagine a more perfect central. That's the opposite of what we saw from yesterday's games. This is, it's like a marble just appeared on my screen, like a nice, beautiful rainbow marble. Just boom, right there. Everybody's already in the circle.
Screenshot that circle and sell it as an NFT, and you'll sell it for a couple of $100,000, because that kind of circle shift is not very common at all. So beautifully relieving for a lot of these teams. Of course, that will, I believe, force that dam to break a little bit later into the game, right? It is, at the end of the day, going to delay the inevitable a little bit, as well as being possibly a little bit trickier for the teams that are moving into the circle a little bit later, such as Respect as well, because now they have to really be careful from the southern side, making their way up the mountain of this login area to find any kind of position on the southern edge of the circle.
They're rotating towards into new names. I mean, both of these teams have similar rotation strategies because it is probably the more optimized one, right? Wrap around on the east side. And you're 100% right. As perfect as that circle is for all those other teams that are rotating late, they rely on circle hard shifts to make their way in. They pick the side that it's hard shifted to because there's less chance of teams being there. But with such a perfect central shift, it does make it a little bit trickier for the teams rotating on the edge. New names, they do manage, though, to have found a position, a nice little set of compounds on the edge of zone. Of course, no hard shift means there's no chance to go further in without risking too much.
Dalshian, a neat team known for their late rotations into the circles, are victims of what we just talked about. A few of their players being knocked down by the feeders, another one by, I believe, one of the Red Moon players. So now they're down to 2, just Vasi and Simple left on board. And again, this is a team that are currently lying in 27th in the standings, 48 points on board. So they need a good 50. I would argue 50 plus points to massively secure their spot in the top 15. Not a good start for them, while Red Moon capitalizing, wrapping around. Red Moon were on the kind of southeastern edge of the circle, and now they're on the northwestern side. I gotta give them credit for a dynamic rotation in this phase 3.
Trying to figure out whatever spot you could come into. Take your time. You're not getting central anytime soon on these circles. So find that edge position. You can work your way in. And this circle shift on the FTY, they are about to lay some metal out from on top of that high ground position. So many of these other teams, there's not much left to play, and we see a crash happening out in the south right now between NDC and La Familia. Both teams heading in here at the same exact time.
It's not even that good of a compound to hold on to, but it's certainly better than a lot of flatland terrain. Paki 98, don't know how he got on top of the roof of the building. He's got there, wasted, gets a knock on board. MDC does have a player in the backline supporting him, so that could be of a benefit, but the fact that another player knocked down, make that a third, family, prove why they continue to be one of the strongest teams in the PMCO EU West lobby. Just that quick reaction, and I gotta give credit to MDC, to be fair, because they crashed pretty quickly. Just a better team won out.
Yeah, the timing was there for both teams, but
oh my god! Oh my god!
Side of that, and not Rex. Oh no, Rex loses one player right here. You think he'll lose a third?
Oh my god!
I mean, a second in that 1v1. And MDC gets that thirst before La Familia could finish that out, and just like that, Rex. I can't blame them. This area is not in zone, and you would think all 4 members of that team went for that compound, but they held one back, and everything is starting to fall apart for Rex.
No, I do blame them for that. You don't stop at a building and then try and move away without scouting that building. Whether it's a one player or a full team, you don't do that. That was a big F in my eyes for respect on the last day when you're trying to qualify for the PMCO Finals. They've got to be harsh. There's a time and a place for that. Definitely respect pulled a massive oof in my eyes. But we move on. Red Moon already down a player. They have another knocked. New names are also in a bit of a similar situation. Fast Romania are down. 13 teams left. 46 players alive.
New names down to just one, hiding behind that car. I don't even think it's quite in circle yet. And FTY laying in the hurt. They only have actually 2 kills this early on from this position. Is pretty good. Notice how far the players are, the enemy players are. They're taking very long range shot. And woo, that DP. That's what I'm telling you. Did you see that, Imperium?
Yeah.
He got a knock.
Yeah,
He fired off 3 shots at 400 meters, and it was a quick one. Didn't have to slow down to aim for the head for that bolt action, but the action is ramping up right now, Imperium.
And the crash comes through. Mega Powers, FTY, 2 giants of the PMCO EU West lobby clashing together. Now the 2-2 split from FTY was beneficial up until this kind of crash point, but they can still make it work. Kale with a beautiful knock from the roof side. Great reaction from him. He disengaged away and executed a good start for his side. But because there's lots of smokes, the entrance into that building is a little bit more difficult. Kale goes into FPV mode, confirms that Kale is going to get the drop shot knock. Brace 8 bounces on back, but Kale is coming in through with the clutch play. This man is a beast. And Mega Power, they're going down.
He just picked up all 4 kills right there in one sequence. In one sequence that we were watching, Kale at 5 kills, he picked up all 4. It started. That was absolutely beautiful. We see why this FTY team. That play was on another level. That is a PMGC level highlight. Jumping off that roof, getting that angle so quickly, running in, and then picking up that 3-piece. He was leading the charge, and he got all 3. Oh man, absolutely.
Yeah, I know.
Beautiful, Imperium.
Now, of course, unfortunately, the circle has moved away from their compound down to the southeast, so they're going to have to enter and breach in from the western edge of the circle. Team Kingsman still have 4 players up, going wild, going bold, going brass, while the defeaters are crashing in. The family, they've already won 1 fight. Can they win another? Elicio's down on the knees. Paki 98 going to look to low ball the Molotov on towards the edge of the wall side. It's very difficult. The jump shot from Slot looking to make that work, but Paki 98, the IGL has different ways of making that one end. Savage X is left on his own, but the family here know exactly where he is. He turns around the corner, and Evil Boy gets a final kill. 9 kills for the family here.
This is what I'm talking about. The Grim Reapers of the team La Familia pretty much already punched their ticket with the amount of points that they have, and they took out Defeaters, one of the teams at 79 points that we said should have an easy day in, but that's 1 game down, and they only got 2 points.
And then FTY, the distance are third partying and sideswiping X-Team as well. Red Moon down to their bones inside the open area of this circle. We talked about the first 3 phases being wonderful, whereas it's only gone from bad to worse in this last couple of circles because it's in the open, very little cover. You're relying on a couple of rocks, a low utility, and whatever vehicles you've been able to stack up. Kalu Animal in amongst the smoke gets one knock, looking for the confirmation, switches over a gun. He hasn't been spotted yet, but Kyox, he comes in and saves X Team's day. These are 2 teams fighting for the top 15.
It is a killing field out here, and one thing I noticed, the Grim Reapers of the teams with the highest amount of points already, they are funneling everybody in here like a pig pen, just taking shots. 4 Romania boys pressuring everybody from the south, FTY pressuring everyone from the north at the high ground, and we saw La Familia take one of the only compounds left and shut out the Feeder's chance, and we have another hard central circle shift. It is all grass and trees and rocks at this point.
X Team are relieved at the fact not only do they have pretty solid cover, but it's inside the circle. They take down Deuce Gaming. Feels bad for Deuce Gaming, but they're going to have to come back in the next game and prove themselves once more. On call for still up as a full squad. They need a giant day, an absolute giant day. It's technically mathematically possible with 0 kills so far in this game. Even a chicken dinner would only be 15 points so far. FTY moving down from the compound that they've held onto for so long in this game. Now they have the northern edge of the circle in their control for the time being.
Beautiful positioning there by FTY. As far as these other teams go, they still have to make their way in, and circle is slowly closing in right now. La Familia taking a fight to the Kingsman. Kingsman down.
Skyline?
Just 1 player. It's a 1v1.
Skyline?
Evil boy. He needs to clutch this one out.
He doesn't know he's there. He's gonna hear that. He should have heard the smoke. Surely he's heard the smoke being cooked up and go, wait, I'm getting a revive. That's not me. That's just someone else from the team. And now he gets back up, switches over to the Grozer, reloads that bad boy. The shots are going to connect. 34 Skyline has more health, has more damage, but Molly is going to move him away from the rock. He's going to get third-partied. He does go down at the hands of FTY.
Team Kingsman, they need a good game. They got so far in. Maybe they picked up a few placement points, but that aggression was needed. He hopped out into what he thought was safety, but out of the smoke, and FTY picked up that kill. We still have 1 player left from Rex, but not for longer as FTY laying in the hurt right now. We're down to 4 teams just like that.
You spoke too soon. The caster curse came through. And by the way, FTY aren't even playing with their main IGL. Addis taking a break. He's handing it over to Simple. And I gotta say, his name may be Simple, but his IGLing skills are far from it. Uncalled for. Got 3 kills so far. They are putting pressure on FTY, but Biscay, a giant in the lobby as an individual player, is still alive. And just as I say that, he gets a knock into one of the uncalled for players. A little bit of low ground advantage is helping Biscay at this stage of the game as the next circle shifts up and moves away from both of these teams. Centralizes up. Uncalled for are closest to the lobby, but La Familia, they move in.
You do not run at Biscay without your gun out. That is not something you would want to put yourself in. Biscay, of course, 6 kills already. Not to mention Kale, who popped off at 5 earlier on. The teams had noticed the 4 teams left in the lobby. FTY, one of the Grim Reaper teams. 4 Romanian boys, one of the Grim Reaper teams. La Familia, another team that's already punched their ticket in, but they are killing everybody in this lobby. Uncalled for has managed to make it in, but uncalled for, they're coming in today with only 30 points.
FTY, they look to focus a little bit more in the direction of uncalled for, but maybe left it a little bit too late, a little bit too slow, and that Evil Boy is able to catch one of them off guard. Nade after nade after nade, swinging in the direction of FTY. Nox is back apart away from his teammates. That's really good separation from FTY. And he's moving closer to Evil Boy. Yes, he gets knocked, but to me, that still provides timing for FTY to do something. Biscay goes down. Simple is left on his own. Can the IGL work wonders? He's surrounded by 2 teams right now. Evil Boy, he's done so much work, and let's be fair, the Familia, they're one of the top teams that don't have a chicken dinner yet in the PMCO.
16 kills, though. They've already accumulated the amount of kills needed for a chicken dinner. Simple down to the last man standing for FTY. He's got a small crate for cover, but he's pinned in from both angles. Pulls out the grenade. The other team is pressing in, though, for Unknown. Don't want to give him the chance, and that grenade almost got the after death finish.
So close. He knew he had to pull something out. Gotta give credit to Uncalled For. That was a good push, but don't go for the revive. The blue zone's closing in. He does pull it off in time. Kraken gets behind the car. 4 Romanian boys, La Familia, Uncalled For. There are your 3 teams that's standing. No, speak too soon, La Familia. They're out. 4 Romanian boys. It's Wix left on his own. 1v2.
His name might be Wix, but let's see if he can pull off a John Wick impression and clutch out this 1v2 in style. He's got the disadvantage, I'd say, on the low ground. Easier to spot out a target prone on the low ground moving around, but can Chiquita and Kraken manage to spot him out? He's almost made it into circle. Once Wix makes it into circle, he's probably gonna most likely stop his movement, but there it goes. The high ground advantage in that prone fight. For Unknown spots them out. Now, or for Uncalled For spots them out, and they got that chicken dinner. They're not a team that we really touched on at all, because they had 30 points coming into today. That is a 60-point gap to make the 90-point cutoff mark. And so I don't think they're in the running still, even with that chicken dinner. But it's the teams that we count out that you don't know what they might do. And for them to pull a chicken dinner in this lobby, hey, congrats, man. You got a chicken dinner in one of the toughest lobbies there is.
Yeah, no, full credit to them. They rotated early to Mansion, so they had that kind of area pretty well under control. But I gotta give them credit. They adapted these circles quite nicely. They didn't overstep their mark too much. They recognized that, look, we are surrounded by a lot of heavy-hitting teams, so we really need to thread that needle of trying to get kills while still staying alive. And the fact that they had 0 kills up until the kind of later stages of the game is credit to that. Let's have a look at the match rankings, because yes, Uncalled For did get the chicken dinner, and yes, Uncalled For have made a bit of a name for themselves in the standings. We gotta recognize that FTY and La Familia, 31 kills of the 64 players. Well, technically 56, if you kind of count, those 8 players are between those 2 teams. That is freaking insane.
I couldn't have said it better myself at the start of the show. The Grim Reapers of the lobby. Yeah. And if you count themselves out, if my math is correct, that is half the lobby that they killed off. And let's not forget, Mega Power. That was one of the teams that clashed into the Titan team of FTY. Imagine if those 2 didn't clash and Mega Power came in from a different angle onto a different team that's really trying to fight for their points. There's a chance where Mega Power, FTY, La Familia, 4 Romanian boys, those are the last 4 teams. But let's take a look at which teams got the points that needed the points. We moved down to 5th place, X team with 8 points. That is pretty good right there. X team, they came in today with 68. They got those 8. Yeah. So kudos to them. But let's move into the second page right now that you see on screen. And this is what I'm talking about. Barely any points to be had from these guys, because they were either killed off or there were no kills for them to be even had because the other teams took it away.
5 teams with 2 points. Red Moon, the Feeder, Sorry for Skill, New Names, MDC, all of them needed 10, 15 point games at least for this first game to, you know, be absolutely perfect. The Feeders are, yeah, they, let's be fair, they are massively less at risk, and they won't actually mind if the rest of the lobby are the kills from the rest of the lobby are, you know, absorbed by the likes of FTY, for Romanian Boys, and La Familia, right? They won't actually mind once they get enough points to overtake the two block teams that aren't playing today, which are on 82 points. But this is where, like I said, we kind of have this rolling cutoff point. We said 90 is a
Right.
cutoff point, roughly. It's a rolling cutoff because
Right.
if this keeps happening, of the teams absorbing the points, we could see the two 82 point teams end up in the top 15. We could. That's the thing. It could be the case. I hope it's not. But that's a very realistic case at this stage.
If the first game is anything to show, we might see it happen the rest of the games, where the top teams come in here and really just wipe out the rest of the lobby and soak up all the points, making it so much harder for the teams that
Yep.
really need the points today to make that 90 point. I mean, the Feeders prime example. They came in today looking really comfortable at 79, but 2 points that game, they still got 3 chances. But if you think about it, if they get 2 points the next game, 3 points the next game, they're cutting it so close to 90
They really
points.
are.
So
They really are.
let's head into that break. I can't wait to watch the rest of the games today. And next map, the next map is going to be good. We're going to move on to Sanhok after we come back from this break.
What a game to start off the final day of the PMCO EU West group stage. Polar opposite to the first game yesterday. Very solid, good circles, a crazy open field ending, and teams hoovering up those kill points too, specifically. Zute, that makes it so much more difficult. We can't stress it enough for the teams that are really trying to fight for that top 15 spot.
I absolutely enjoyed that last game. We saw multiple compound crashes, multiple teams go down at the same building. They were fighting for whatever buildings they could, leading up to that end game circle of no hard cover. That's those are my most favorite finishes, because you come down to that crucial fight at the compound, that close range, high, fast paced engagement where the synergy and mechanics really showed through. And afterwards, you're rewarded with just a little bit of field opening in front of that compound as it goes into the no man's zone, so to say. So, the next 3 games, Imperium, that first one got me energized up.
Yeah, we don't unfortunately have time to show the overall standings because we're getting into this game too fairly soon. So that's kind of a silver lining to not being able to give you a visual insight. But because there was such a hoovering of kills in the first game, the only real kind of difference that we can highlight in movement, I feel, is, to be fair, Respect. They did move up a couple of positions. It's not the biggest amount of points improvement, not the highest, but they have still gotten closer to that top 15. They're currently now in 17th place on 66 points, only 3 points ahead of Sorry for Skill. They jumped over Team Kingsman. So to me, that's kind of the noticeable difference for the time being.
Yeah, even though there's no real amount of shifting, X team managed to pick up that 8 points that last game. They're now sitting at 76. They're still behind Defeaters, and Defeaters only picked up 2. And it's to be expected. Like with the teams we saw towards the end game, those were the teams that already punched their ticket in. So everyone else is fighting for the scraps right now.
Hey, look, you can punch your ticket to future PMCOs by enjoying a super fast and lag-free Pubg mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G, the wonderful sponsors of the PMCO EU West. Sanhok, already going to be crazy enough. We're now walking into a train of destruction, of harshness, of Mustache Days, Papa Blue Zone in the mix. I don't know what to expect myself. I just hope to see these teams really continue to have a heartbeat, right? Get that CPR on board, mouth to mouth yourselves, for God's sake. Just show that you're still alive in these lobbies. I know that sounded really weird. Let's get into the plane path and move over onto the Sanhok terrain.
Oh, dude. Oh, we already got players jumping out of the plane. I love that mouth to mouth. That just made me think of self-revive yourself. Like, that's how tough it is right now out here, man. You get knocked, you go ahead and revive yourself because your teammates have enemies to deal with. Now that we're on Sanhok, though, we talk about it all the time. Sanhok relies heavily on fragging power. You fight your way in. You don't rotate your way in on Sanhok. And with the lobby looking like the way it is, and after that first game, if that's any indication, the teams that really need the points here, I feel like there's even less chance for them to get points this time around because other teams are really just going to be straight gunning in towards them. But that first circle is a really nice one for everybody. The plane path as well kind of justify it. But the hot drops! Douse Legion getting the first kill and finish onto new names.
Douse Legion, I kind of low-key want to count them out, but let's see what happens in this second game. Tati is knocked down, so technically it's a 3v3 because I can't see the revive happening anytime soon. DBS laid out. Douse Legion gets another knock on Daka, so that's incredibly valuable for the push. Savage switches over to the UMP. Another knock, another dance comes on board, and now there's just one player left. of new names. They didn't have a good game, but now Amel switches over to the Uzi, gets a knock, plays around the building, now looks to go for the jump shot, a pan knock on play, but that's going to be the last kill. On to the players of new names. That's Legion keeping their dream alive.
I love the decisiveness out of Simple. No ammo. He's got a pan. Yo, trade me, cover me. I'm gonna run in with that pan, and it worked. His teammate got the trade.
Yep.
I actually love that. He didn't go run off to find ammo because in those few split seconds, his teammate might lose a 1v1, right? So they take that 2v1, even if one of their players in that 2 didn't have a gun in hand. It works out. So Douse, Legion, and New Names coming into this game, both of them similar points. New Names had 51. Douse Legion had 48. So that was a great fight, but they got to do that same exact thing 3 times over.
Right now, I'm counting New Names out. I'm counting New Names out. Just from a mentality perspective, they've had 2 poor results. Their mentality is probably shot. Is there still a heartbeat? Let's see what happens in game 3 for them. One thing that I noticed as well, Zute, is that Team Kingsman and Uncalled For both dropped in Paradise Resort. But Team Kingsman, recognizing that we can't really afford to lose an early fight, lose players early on. We really need to play a little bit more intelligently for the mid to late game. They moved away from Paradise Resort. They handed it over to Uncalled For. I massively respect that.
It could go both ways. They might commit to that fight, and they might just get those 4 kill points like we saw, but it's so risky. That fight came down so close, and you're right. Kingsman could have easily lost that fight or lose 2 players for the exchange of 4 points, and losing 2 players for 4 points, that's not worth it at all, especially on a map like Sanhok. So calling a disengage sometimes, yeah, credit to where it's due. That disengage call is sometimes hard to make, especially when the situation's so stressful coming into your very last 3 games, trying to qualify for that PMCO Finals. So the only thing that kind of sucks for them, though, is the loot. They gave up Paradise loot to scrap loot around the edges of the map. But as long as they have ammo and guns, they can fight their way in and pick up the loot off of the players they kill.
Harvest loot and the corpses of their opponents. I realize that sounds really dark, and I'm okay with that. Now, phase 1, we haven't really talked about it because we saw so much action to begin with, but it is a relatively tricky phase 1. It has a pretty even distribution of the mainland, Northwest Island, and Southwest Island. So the initial trifecta compound hill that's held onto by FTY is fantastic. X Team on the hill of boot camp is really good, but they're kind of at risk in terms of the standing, so that poses its own issues. While Mega Power, they stay in boot camp.
Sorry for Skill picking up a crucial knock. Sorry for Skill coming in today, or this match, at 69 points. They're one of the teams that could easily punch their way in, and they're starting it off with 1 kill point. They're waiting to get that confirmed. That player is most likely going to bleed out. I mean, Smokes comes through, though. Monk going for that revive, Uncalled For, with the chicken dinner in game number 1. If they could repeat it on this one, they have a chance. Uncalled For, 51 points currently.
Nice trade from Uncalled For. Nice standing your ground momentum from them, right? It shows that they've learned from their previous 8 games. It shows that maybe because their backs are against the wall and they've got nothing to lose, they're unlocking a little bit of extra confidence. A lot of other teams that would be maybe down in the dumps would maybe get scared, panic a bit. But Uncalled For knew exactly how they needed to react, pulled out a smoke, got a return knock, and boom, they're now back up as a full squad. Credit to them for that.
That first chicken dinner, that could have been the ignition. Now, I might be laying down the story a little bit too early as uncalled for, right? Still
I
quite
think
a
you're right
ways
too, mate.
away from 90 points. But that chicken dinner coming in, if any team coming into today wanted to secure their spot in, no matter how far away and how grim it looked for them, a chicken dinner, hey, there's no way they got that chicken dinner and they were like,
Dude.
I still don't think we could do it. By no means. They got that chicken dinner and
Yeah.
they were like, yo, we have a chance,
Yep.
guys. Let's
Bro,
pull
you're right
together.
You're right too, though, because I counted Conquer Romania in on the first 2 games when they got 19 points in 2 games, and Uncalled For have gotten a chicken dinner, I think, over 19 points in 1 game alone. So I think you're right. You're not setting that up too early. It's up to them how they evolve onto the next chapter and how they write that next chapter. I think you're dead right to continue to write that story for Uncalled For's, of course, end game. We'll have to see what happens.
Not much movement on the rest of the map. As the very first circle, it was pretty central to where everyone dropped. So a lot of teams just shifted ever so closer to one another, but they didn't shift too far. They're very well aware of where all these teams rotate to by now. So we don't see any team really running into a team unexpectedly. They're just hunkering down in their own positions. They don't want to take any unnecessary fights at this point, and everyone's just waiting for that second circle shift to make a move. X team, you see them in the background. They took that hill, and one player hears the shots. I love that. They're coming down. They're poking their nose in just ever so slightly to maybe pick up a kill steal or so, but Nightmare is still maintaining a safe distance away from the core engagement.
I low-key think X team are too heavily separated. Depends on where this next circle shifts and how they react. Deuce Gaming coming into contact with La Familia. Hate to say it, but it's not exactly the team you want to come into contact with, and they're paying the price for that down the mountain of Sanhok. Another player is taken out. Deuce Gaming, they're down to 2 with Jesh being revived up by Slyke. Daddy said they think and he believes that it's the best version of their roster. I don't know. I'm inclined to disagree with what we've seen from them in the first 2 games.
It might be the best version, but the best may not be enough for this lobby. I don't even know how they lost 2 players from that angle, from that fight with Loft.
Getting caught out, man.
Usually usually from the high ground, if you get knocked, you don't get thirsted, but they lose 2 players in La Familia. That circle shift, they don't care about it. They're a team that's already made their way in, and this is what I'm talking about. They're going to hunt down teams. They're going to at least go for the opportunity to hunt down teams. That Deuce didn't engage and backpedal all the way back up to the mountain, they would have been pretty much finished by now, because La Familia, they poked their nose up there, decided, not worth the effort. I'm going to save my running legs for the other teams left on the map. So they disengage. But Deuce, down to 2, not looking good.
Phase 2 did shift quite heavily to the east, so for the most part, majority on the mainland. It's going to benefit those teams that dropped around that region. Alicio, stay out of sight, out of mind, while Fast Romania push in. This is the eastern side of Quarry. Important that Whiskey really provides that back-end support along with Savage X to allow that revive to be laid out. It is indeed going to be pulling through Fast Romania compared to Game 1, starting as a full squad, which is definitely more than beneficial. Simpson pushing in. This is interesting, but he's on his own, and it's a bit risky.
It is a bit risky. I like to see at least 2 more players from Fast Romania pushing. The opening knock, they had a way across the road, but Fast Romania just a little bit too slow, but it works out for Defeaters. Defeaters is the team that really wants to get any little amount of points right now. 81 points, 9 more to go to hit 90, but they want more than 90. So they did catch a little bit of a break because Fast Romania were too slow on that aggression. And if Fast Romania presses anymore and mess up, this could be 4 kill points for defeaters because they're not moving anywhere. They're going to stay here and hold this defense.
Oh my god, Alicia, will you throw the nade or don't throw the nade? You know, you've cooked it up 3 times now. But this is where Fast Romania going for the call and a bit of a pre-nade cook from Alicia, and Style could be a bit of a difference maker. Savage X, Whiskey in the back line. This is good for Fast Romania. They go all 4 players across Simpson. Chunks a little bit of damage. And Molotov's looking to keep defeaters backed into a corner. M249 on board. Lovely nade in return from Style and Alicio together. I'm a little bit surprised that either Whiskey or Savage X aren't making the call to push forward, but maybe they're not confident about it. Pre-fire shot, lovely play by Black, catches him off guard. He gets taken down. That's fantastic. Keep 2 in the building, 2 outside of the building, utilizing that extra level of vision.
Defeaters right now, they're choking. They're choking. The 2 players in the back were holding the same angle. They did not come to support their teammates. Their teammates were throwing so many nades to stall for time, but the support did not come out. Now Fast Romania pushing in 1 by 1.
Okay.
That's a trade. It kind of resets. It's back to a 3. Oh, Fast Romania actually just down to 2. Defeaters close this one out.
What the hell, Simpson? Don't become like Homer. Don't create a dull moment. Vortex left on his own. Down to low health. And defeaters, let's be fair. Their fight was saved off the simple fact that Fast Romania threw that one. They threw it hard.
I agree. I 100% agree. And defeaters, they did not play that one themselves out too well. No. I mean, I'm happy defeaters got 4 points, but if that was against any other team, even if they won that fight, it would have been more casualties. But the fight's not over. Respect.
I agree.
Heard all the commotion. They heard the elongated fight. The problem with Sanhok, when you take a fight, if it lasts for anywhere longer than 20 seconds, the closest team next to you is going to sniff that out and might set up on you. So it's not, they're not out of the woods yet for the defeaters.
Yeah, for sure. Phase 3, once again, centered up towards the mainland, so a bit more of a relieving circle shift for a lot of these teams, and that's why Rexpect feel a little bit more comfortable focusing towards the defeaters. X-Team, Zombie, caught off guard. The Car 98, headshot, looks to be thrown in the direction of Red Moon, but doesn't really connect enough to get a knock by Gold Touch. Again, both of these teams are fighting for a top 15 spot. X team certainly in a safer spot, 76 points so far. They are holding on to that final spot, while Red Moon 20th overall in the standing, 62 points for them. They do have an all elusive chicken dinner to their name, but it's not going to be enough if they don't rack up the points.
Points matter. Every single point matters. The circle is slowly closing in as all these teams on the edge still have to make their way in. And FTY, they catch the backs of X Team. X Team had a decent game number 1. This Sanhok one, not as great as a start. They're down to 3, but at least you got 3 players in the zone in a compound, but that is the edge of zone. Unless they're hoping to get zone blessed, they still got to keep moving in. We'll see very shortly the next circle coming out any second now.
And that's where you said it yourself. If you look for shots, if you look for any kind of engagement and you take those shots and you don't reposition or move within 20 seconds, teams are going to be hearing that around you. And FTY starting to hoover up the kills around them. X team tries to peek, but pays a price with a couple of bullets to the body. They're down to 2, and their hopes for a PMCO Finals spot are slipping away minute by minute, player by player. Beautiful shift on this phase 4 puts Sky for Skill in a fantastic spot, as well as Rexpect.
Oh, FTY down range. That was
so
absolutely beautiful. La Familia getting pieced up. Now, of course, both of these teams, they're pretty comfortable in the standings. And to talk more about the circle shift, This is a really good circle for Respect and Sorry for Skill.
Yep.
They're both holding strong positions in that circle, and we're heading into the late game of Sanhok. If they could defend just this circle alone, that will put them very far ahead in terms of kill points and placement points. So let's see if they can manage that defense. So both of those teams, Respect, Sorry for Skill, 69 points and 66 points. So this Sanhok game is definitely favoring them when it comes to the circles.
Boom. And it's opening up. Pappy gets a knock on one of the Red Moon players, a team that's around them. So if they can not only shut down Red Moon, they will of course get more points, but as well as being able to create a bigger gap against Red Moon. So it's really important that they continue to take that fight on board. 4 Romanian boys seem to be in a spot of bother themselves between the defeaters and I believe uncalled for, Team Kingsman. Pappy, Salazar setting that front line up. A lovely 3-person spread from Respect while the 4th player holds on to that compound. I really respect that anchor ship from Respect.
Mm-hmm. This is probably the proper way to play this defense on top of this hill. This hill position is one of the most difficult spots to hold in Sanhok just because you have pretty much 3 pathways up, 4 including the one from the compound. Now the compound player, the great thing about him is that players on the hill, if they get too pressured, they could back up into his line of sight and the enemy team pressing might not expect it. So even though he's kind of away from the fight, the teammates, if done correctly, could utilize them at the most crucial points.
Deuce Gaming got taken out. It's the end of their journey in Sanhok. Once again, continues to make life so much more difficult for themselves with 2 more games left to go. The circle centers up. Sorry for a skill. They're not sorry with that shift. They're very happy. Respect that anchor ship is going to benefit them, but they still have to clear out the teams behind them. Red Moon could make their way up. Defeaters could make their way up, and if 2 teams head in that direction, it could create a bit of a third party against them. 4 Romanian boys heading into the vehicle, moving out of Quarry through the middle. Going to go into the open loving arms of the hillside held onto. Oh, don't know what happened. The Playboy, I think it was the play zone that took down Playboy. Bright still left alive.
I love how he sacrificed himself for Bright, and Bright was ready. The second he went out of the car, he switched seats and took the wheel. And I want to see a YOLO rotation out of Bright. I mean, he's far away from zone. He's a single player. There's teams everywhere. Woo! Just drive it, send it on, and show us that fast and furious play right there. And he stops, takes a 1v1. Right, with the drop shot right there. Oh, he can win this fight. Oh, Rudy, that was huge. Holds the defense down.
So important for him. Savage X gets knocked down as well. Respect roaring with us in this Sanhok game. Whiskey is down in the blue zone. Pappy is knocked down though. Red Moon have been able to survive. Ed with about 25 health on board. Chrono is knocked down. A first aid is being pulled off by Ed. Twists. Papa Blue. Thank you, Mustache Dave, for continuing to just put the trends on board. Gonna victimize these teams. And Red Moon, they are down in 10th.
Respect beautifully played. I was thinking they would 4-stack in the buildings just because it's hard cover and they feel safer, but instead they dedicated 2-2 to clear out the sides. It could have gone either way, but they played it correctly, and now Respect has cleared off their side of the circle, which is crucial because the circle shift and went up north towards Sorry for Skill.
Ironically enough, Sanhok is actually Respect's best map statistically so far in this PMCO West. 10 points per Sanhok game so far. So not really surprised. Sorry for Skill. Kalu Animal knocked up. Will get revived, but Mega Power pushing forward up the hill. X team are under pressure themselves. This is a boatload of shots all around these remaining 20 players.
Logist creeping up ever so slowly. We already saw the util come out. I don't know if Mega Power has any more. They're going to need another one for that second knock. Sorry for skill, though. Also shooting at
Lovely.
teams further down the line of La Familia. Sorry for skill, looking so strong with this defense. If they hold this one out, this is going to be at least a 10-plus point game for them.
Not freezing, recognizing that they have the safety of the rock, so they look in another direction and try and be proactive around it. You looked for the utility, 5 for a save for Red. He hasn't been spotted on board. Gonna get 1, gonna get 2. CLW is the last victim. He gets the 3-piece. Rating just shuts down. Sorry for skills. Journey and Sanhok. Incredible solo play. Pulls out the mega power play with that 3-piece.
If there's a snake to be afraid of on Sanhok, that's the snake you want to watch out for. Just in a split second. Sorry for skill. They're down to 1.
Oh my god, and now that leaves Uncalled For to push in. 1v1 at least Besso, the IGL, but he's gonna get taken down. Uncalled For, 7 kills off the back of a chicken dinner in game. Wander into the top 4, but they do still have some giants around the mega power. Respect. And the 4th team of X Team. Rete is knocked down. X Team. That's going to be the end of them. Zombie is eliminated. 3 teams left top. Uncalled For into the top 2. What a way for them to kick off the final 4 games. He couldn't ask for a dream start. And as they take down the last player of Mega Power, it's going to be a 1v1, but just a 3 in front of Bardo. Lovely nade throw now. Puts pressure onto Monk. Another one. Is he going to try and clean it up? But in my eyes, he needs to move around. Confirms the kill on the Kraken. And nade comes in. Bardo with the 1v2. Respect with the chicken dinner. Hashtag roar with us.
Respect the beautiful nades. Them clearing out their side of the circle earlier came in huge. They lost so many players fighting into that new circle. If they had to deal with players behind, they were done for.
Yeah.
So they set themselves up beautifully for that chicken dinner. And I love that fact you threw in there during the fights. Sanhok was their best map. And to do it, Sanhok of all maps, to consistently show out, they've got their Sanhok figured out. And that player that clutched the game, he's got his throwing arm down too. That was beautiful nades. Respect. This is it, man. You got 2 more games left to go. You guys are looking strong.
We have to highlight Uncalled For. 2 games now. A chicken dinner and a 2nd place. A team that started today down in 30th on a total of 30 points, an average point of 3.75 per game. And they come into their final 4 games and unleash hell onto the lobby. You said at the start of this game, am I writing this story? Am I telling this story too soon? I said, no, you're not. It's up to them to write the next chapter. Well, they've continued. The chapter moves on. The story builds. The evolution of Uncalled For final day of the PMCO EU West is certainly alive.
Yeah, they wrote the next chapter, but everyone enjoys a great trilogy. So next game, if they get that 3rd one down, let's move into the match rankings. Let's take a look at where Uncalled For stands. Let's take a look at how far Respect has boosted themselves up. Let's get a better idea of what is going on now. So Uncalled For coming in 2nd. Of course, Respect with that great chicken dinner. Unfortunate for Uncalled For not getting that chicken dinner, but if they did, that's 4 points difference. They would have got that 1 extra kill point and 3 more placement points. So I don't hope they're too demoralized because we need to get into the nitty gritty of things.
No, they're not going to be.
4 points. Yeah, 4 points difference. We say every point matters, but to have a chicken dinner in the first game and a 20-point game in the 2nd game, I think they might have got more points in the chicken dinner in the first game. I'd have to rewind that back, but 8 kill points.
They got 21 points in the first game and 20 points in this game.
Hey, 1 point shy of a chicken dinner game? Nothing to be sad about. Let's move on down, though. Mega Power. That snake play. That was... My heart goes out for it. Sorry for skill. Like, it's... If they watch that back on broadcast, I can imagine their heart literally sinking at how that game got pulled right out under them by that one snake. We saw them, look to the south on top of that hill. They were being wary of multiple sides, but they forgot about that north side for a split second, and it dearly cost them. And before I let you go, another team that stands out, X Team, 8 points the first game, 14 points the second game. They didn't have the spotlight of a chicken dinner, but they're getting that spotlight now in terms of consistency. They are clawing their way up there. Great show out for all of these teams.
Defeaters also getting 77 points isn't a bad thing. Team Kingsman probably needed more points than 9, I'll tell you that much. Let's move on to the second page and see what teams are looking a little bit worse for where. Not worried about La Familia, FTY, even MDC. Red Moon only getting 1 point. It doesn't matter if they have that one chicken dinner that I talked about at the start of the broadcast. When they're only getting 1 point in these games, it's not looking good. Same with Deuce Gaming and New Names. I can't help but feel that their journey is now over in the PMCO just because of the fact that Uncalled For, Respect, and a couple of other teams in this Sanhok game definitely had a better game, and the points are going to really shrink up. And let's be fair, before we go to break, and hopefully we'll go for a quick break and bring the overall standings, it's also going to allow the book clenching to become a little bit tighter for the teams that are hoping to stay in the top 15 that played yesterday. I say we go for a break, Zute. Let's not waste any more time. We'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. 2 games down, 2 more to go. Starts to get more and more intense. Zute, let's just throw it straight to the overall standings. We didn't see it at the end of game 1. We have a little bit to touch upon. A lot of teams feeling the heat, feeling the burn between those that are playing today and those that haven't. And of course, a few teams are very, very relieved at what happened in that last game.
So yeah, we got the first page right here. Nothing really too much to note besides 8th place Qilin at 92. Now, when we move on to the second page, remember 8th place on the first page is only 92 points, because once we go on to the second page right now, you're about to see just how clustered the points are. From 9th down to 16th is a 10-point difference, Imperium.
Yeah. It's so close. I think Qilin and Entropic are a little bit happy, and they probably feel a little bit safer than they thought they might have. All Rejection Gaming are hurting at the fact that both Rexpect and X Team have gotten some pretty good results in the first 2 games. However, their 56 placement points are keeping them ahead of Rexpect for the time being. Of course, Rexpect, X Team, those 2 teams alone have 2 extra games to gain 3 points, and they'll move ahead of 3 teams. The Feeders, although they can still be a little bit relieved because they jumped over Quattrofakers and Dab. As we move on to page 3, they're not exactly super far ahead of Sorry for Skill. That's only 10 points.
Yeah, so at Rexpect, they hit that 90-point mark, but the other thing that they hit that we didn't touch on is that chicken dinner. Not just the points in the chicken dinner, but the tiebreaker potential for having a chicken dinner really might come into play. Now, on the third page, Sorry for Skill. Boy, do I feel sorry for you, because that last Sanhok match, they had it. They were one of the few teams left with 4 players alive. They had the high ground position, and it was all taken away from them from Mega Power. So they're sitting on the third page at 78, and I can't help but to feel the what ifs, man. The what ifs. They could very well also have 90 points like the 4 other teams, but there's 2 more games left. Hey, that's plenty of opportunities. I don't want to make it any more bitter than it sounds, but I still feel bad for them.
I do. It's the way the cookie crumbles. They've got to dust it off and come into game 3 reset and refreshed. But we have to continue to highlight uncalled for. 71 points. They're only 2 points behind Team Kingsman. They're 7 points behind Sorry for Skill. Again, they kind of have to take it placement by placement. I'm not necessarily kind of looking at them being like ahead of the Feeders. But the fact that they've gotten 41 points in 2 games compared to Kingsman, who've gotten 13 in 2 games, Sorry for Skill, who've gotten 11 in 2 games, right? That is really big. That's really big for their mentality. It's really big for their confidence. It's really big for their fight. And that is really what is a difference maker when it comes to these final games. I'm sure you've experienced it before. If your mentality is shaken, if your confidence is shaken from another team creeping up behind you, that can really hurt your journey.
Not just that, all of a sudden you have a team that you did not necessarily consider as a threat suddenly be a threat. Let's move on to the 4th and final page. Now that we're coming down into the last 2 games, you can start counting the teams out here. I'm looking at new names: MDC, Fast Romania. It's about time to just give them the congratulatory speech of, hey, you guys made it to the PMCO. You guys had hell of a run. You guys beat out so many other teams. And for the last 2 games, hey, Go out with a bang, make a name for yourselves, show why you are here and why you deserve to be competing in the top 32 right now.
Sure. You're damn right. Golden Sport, and I would argue even Conqueror Rangers low-key did that yesterday, right? So, yeah, go out with pride, go out strong, and who knows, even cause a couple of upsets in the middle of the standings in that fight for the top 15. We are about to head into game number 3, Miramar. I'm looking at, obviously, the feeders. This is their possibly saving grace of a map, because out of the teams that are in that fight for the top 16, they are looking at a really solid average of 16 points per Miramar game. So, like, similar to Rec Spect, right? Yeah, so that's a big plus. So let's see if they can make that count. You can, of course, make your Pubg Mobile experience account by enjoying a super fast and lag-free Pubg Mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. And yeah, just real quickly going back to it, the closest team behind them in points average for Miramar is Sorry for Skill with 8.5. That's why I really wanted to highlight the feeders.
That's quite a big gap in terms of potentials from 16 down to 8.5. It's great to see that the feeders have their ace card coming up in play, that being of Miramar. But the circle shifts, you never know what might happen. And I can't wait to get into this game. Imperium Miramar, the highest skill cap map in one of the toughest lobbies, coming into the second to last game of the day. So much is riding on this map result. So let's head into the plane. Let's get this show started. Let's see what happens.
All 64 players, well, 63. This is your captain speaking. We have a wonderful plane path starting at the northern side of the map, overlooking the beautiful oasis of Miramar, and we're heading down in the direction past the eastern side of Los Leones. It's a pretty good playing path, a little bit to the east, but I guarantee you most of these teams will not be complaining.
There is one team complaining, though, and I feel like Imperium, I feel like we kind of cast a curse them because we hype them up so much. You mentioned at the very start, welcome all 64 players, correction, 63. The one missing player that didn't get into the Uber on time to make it to the airport to get on the plane is 4 unknown. So they're going to be starting off this one with only 3 players. Or uncalled for, not 4 unknown. I keep getting that mixed up. My apologies. I see their team acronym 4UN.
I know, right, man?
So it's thrown me off at least 2 times. But I hope they don't get thrown off too much by being down a person because they had such stellar performances. I'm really rooting for them on this one. And that first circle, it does favor them. It's more towards the north. They dropped out in the north. If there's one team I ever want to see get circle blessed all throughout the match, it would be this team right now.
Sorry for Skill, Red Moon, dropping by to each other. It is right now a 3v2 in the favor of Sorry for Skill, so that's a positive thing. And even the players of Red Moon, I don't believe they've even been able to loot because Sorry for Skill got there first. So they're going to scramble to try and disengage away little by little, Kronos and Chrono. With Ed in the back line. Ed is definitely going to be the one that's probably going to save Red Moon's chances of keeping these players alive. They did pick up a couple of guns, to be fair, seeing Ump in the hands of Chrono behind the wall. And even Kronos is heading towards Kalu Animal. That's really beneficial because that's actually going to distract the players of Sorry for Skill a little bit.
Oh, the pre-fire lined up on the headshot level. That comes out with the first knock, but Chrono, he does get traded. You were talking about Ed. I mean, we just started the game. Chances are Ed does not have a scope. He does not even have the lines of support.
Fair.
So Red Moon right here just getting picked apart. And this is great for Sorry for Skill. They had a little bit of a mishap on that Sanhok game last game. But at least they're starting off. Oh, wait, hold on. They lost a player. I must have missed that, but they're down to 3. They pick up a kill point, but They start this match
it's
off
fine
with 3 players.
Yeah, of course, not an ideal trade, and I kind of didn't quite recognize that they'd lost a player too. I think it was the fact that Besso got the knock and the player Chrono that was in the front line maybe got the confirmation, or the other way around. But yeah, of course, that leaves Surfer Skill down to 3. Red Moon disengaged away, and I think that was the best that they could have asked for. While Mega Power not quite dropping fully in Picado, have MDC close by, or at least they dropped there, got a couple of vehicles, and instantly shifted a bit to the western side of that massive center compound of this map, and looking to punish MDC.
Mega Power going straight aggression mode. They looted that center of Picado, saw a few parachutes drop further away, got that car, and it's just taking the fight straight to them. They do not care about the circle at all. They see enemy players, they want the kill points. Now, MDC are a bit spaced out, so it is kind of slowing down Mega Power's push. They're trying to figure out just how to do it, but I'm not too worried about Mega Power or MDC for that matter, because MDC, one of the teams really far towards the bottom. The most they can hope for is to just make a name of themselves at this point.
Defeaters still looting up Impala for the time being. 4 Romanian boys holding on to the western side. Lost Leon is not quite in the circle. Red Moon, we saw them move away from Sorry for Skill, the family in the graveyard area. Respect 2-2 split on the north eastern edge of the circle. They have plenty of space in front of them for the time being.
Rexpect just taking advantage of that split drop right now, just looting up as much as they can. They're looting 2 different cities, but with this first circle, they have a really good opportunity to rotate earlier rather than later to get a central position. And this fight between MDC and Mega Power still continuing to ring out.
Yeah.
For some reason, Mega Power has 4-stacked this hillside. I guess they want to take it over by force, but MDC, they have 1 player on the south in the wings. He's going to be the difference maker in this fight.
But I gotta wonder, why isn't Sway putting more pressure on the other side, at least for the time being? He should be a little bit more proactively forward, because at this stage, Mega Power being pushed from one side. So if they're pushed from the other side by Sway, that will really close them off into one small angular area of this hillside. Now Sway starts to make some noise. Mega Power realize they are in a bit of trouble.
A lot of trouble. This is as good as it gets for MDC. The high ground, they have 2 in the central focus push area, and they also have 1 in both side angles. It does not get any more perfect, but Mega Power, if any team could kind of pull this off somehow, it would be them. One of the top ranking teams in this lobby.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
So,
I love how you just said that.
Yeah. Well, like, look, dude, at the end of the day, great setup from MDC, but incredibly poor execution, because you've got to be constantly proactive, right? Not just with bullets, but with movement, with rotation, with strength. You know, I kind of mumbled while you were talking about the setup from Mega Power and how bad they were looking. Where was the nades from MDC? I know they maybe haven't looted up enough, but shorty, they've picked up some kind of UT. Even a flashbang would have been valuable in that moment, right? Anything to continue to suppress Mega Power other than bullets. But because that didn't happen, Mega Power was like, yeah, okay, we're sick of it. We're just going to push, take a little bit of a risk. And that proved out to be worthwhile for them. And yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is.
I mean, Sway had the angle on that north side of that hill to really cover, and he just wasn't doing enough. I like to see Sway move up a little bit more. I mean, he's got so many buildings to work with on his side to get a better angle, to get more of a forward positioning to put the pressure. But he just didn't do it. He stayed in his little corner, and look, the dance coming out of Mega Power, I almost want to say that is deserved, because Mega Power knows it themselves. They're like, we should not have won that fight.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, hey, if you guys aren't going to do anything, then we'll just kill you. And that's pretty much what it looked like.
Exactly.
They just ran up the hill and took it away from MDC.
X team, off the back of getting closer to phase 2, you've definitely joined up much closer together. A 3-1 split is wonderful. 3 holding the kind of San Martin side of the hillside and 1 holding the more western side of the hillside. Team Kingsman opting to stay in San Martin, I think, is incredibly risky, because not only will they potentially have to deal with X team, you got La Familia, you got Uncalled For if it continues to center up around San Martin / Hacienda. Yeah, okay, it's a big place, a lot of exit potential. It's not going to be easy for them.
This circle shift is not easy for any teams either. We have so much high ground. We got the high ground of X team. We also have the high ground right next to Fast Romania and the high ground south towards the power grid. These are 3 ginormous high elevation positions where if the circle shifts one way or another, it'll dynamically change the outcome of the game. So positioning wise, yes, we're only into the second circle, but this being Miramar and with the circle it is, it's already gonna get quite tricky. And another tricky thing is what Kalu's kind of dealing with right now. Oh, they got it flipped over.
Yep. You know what? That didn't happen, Kalu Animal. I'm totally not going to roast you on Discord for that. Not at all. Of course, like, that technically slows down Sorry for Skills rotation. It kind of does a little bit. It can be a bit inconvenient at times when you're trying to momentum your way in. But I think because of the fact that they are already pretty far away from the edge of circle, well, not super far away, but point is they're still not in the circle. They're not too worried.
Yeah, that rotation just slows down a bit more, but it was already going to be a slow rotation from the get-go. They had that early fight. They lost a player early on, so now they're just prioritizing some loot, because prioritizing a rotation at that point is just, it would be completely pointless. Now, La Familia, they were on that high ground south of San Martin on top of one of the mountains, and they actually moved down in front of the Kingsmen. Now, the Kingsmen, I understand to a degree why they stayed in San Martin in the first circle, but why in that position? If you're going to stay in San Martin, you need to be staying on the edge side, so you have that exit strategy, you have that exit rotation on the next circle shift, but instead, La Familia just cut right in front of you, and now you're at the whims of La Familia, and when they want to move is when you get to move.
I think their logic behind staying on the west is that it's further into the circle and they technically get more information. But the way I look at it is that you're so pinched inside that city on that side of it that you can't really do anything with that information. So they're much better off being on the eastern edge of the city, because on that phase 3 shift, it gives them a lot more potential to disengage away and move around, even if they don't have information. So I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, they should be where La Familia is. That might be a huge mistake already coming into the third phase that just like throws them off. I mean, yeah, La Familia was on the high ground. So you just take the position that allows you to move out of the city when you do need to move out of the city. And if it goes into the city, you're the first and only team there. So it's a win-win. Yeah. But this next circle, let's take a look at just how dynamically the course of this battle is going to shift. Like, all I see is mountaintops in this zone. All I see is power positions. But which one is going to get the favor? And it goes down hard to the south. We're moving on into power grid, and Sorry for Skill with a super slow rotation. Well, they get that super circle hard shift favor. Let's see what they can make of it, and let's see where all the other teams will do now.
Even though they're on the less congested side, I actually think the southern side of this circle is the worst place to be, in my opinion, because it's a little bit flatter, and I think you're relying on the circle continuing to hit down south unless they go for a really deep shift off the back of this circle. We'll have to wait and see. Respect onto Deuce Gaming. Slight goes down. Really good for Respect. Building on the fantastic chicken dinner in game number 2 of the day. Defeaters close to securing their final spot. Have had a shaky start in the first 2 games, while the Familia cruised their way into Power Grid. Not a bother. And I blame you for that circle shift, by the way, Zute. You said the word power too many times before that shifted.
It's just the power grid. And there we go. We're down to that power grid. Now, Douse in the north. So many teams in the north uncalled for. I was saying I hope they get circle blessed on that first, like when that first circle popped up, because it was more towards the north. Well, it's going the complete opposite way. And Defeaters pressing in. Nice. I like the decisiveness. They're going for a strong central location. And this central location, it's really big. So if you just 4-stack a push earlier on, like Defeaters are, you'll find a way in. You'll catch players off guard. And Defeaters, another 2 kill points, looking very strong.
I do think it's important that Defeaters look to have kind of 1, maybe 2 players inside the power grid building. There's a risk of holding on to the outside despite them having a couple of dips, because a few other teams might, of course, head in that direction. X Team, new names, clashing up. X Team have 1 kill already. Psyox takes a bit of damage from another angle, has to prone it back down, but chucks a nade off in time, doesn't connect.
Yeah, the unfortunate, he was really going for that thirst. You see how low Crystal already is, but the third party from behind prevents him from securing that kill point. Every kill point really matters. X Team right at 90. At this point, it's like a dessert, so to say, to get more kills now, because it's good for them. And oh my gosh, that circle shift. We're going back up north. This time I blame you, because you blamed me earlier. But
you know what? I'm okay with that.
It is power grid.
I'm okay with
power
that.
Grid.
Yep,
We're heading into power grid.
It's good for 4 Romanian boys, because now it takes the focus away from their compound while them still being inside the circle and able to push teams back from behind, which is definitely going to be their priority. You see Playboy moving in, sorry, not moving in, but looking in the direction of X Team. X Team themselves do have that 1 player just on the very tip of the circle as a tiny bit of an anchor point. There's a massive risk of the rest of the team joining up with him. I think it's incredibly valuable. Nightmare doesn't get knocked, because that takes that position away from them. Maybe they can get a bit of a dynamic rotation and use more of that northwestern side. It could work out.
We're heading into the late stages of the game, and we still have 51 players alive. This isn't too common, especially on a map like Miramar, where the lines of sight, the high ground, the low ground really wipes out teams before they make it this far. But this area of the map, so many ridges, so many dips. You see Defeaters utilizing one of the more common ones. Not a lot of people might know about this one, but it's just to the southeast of Power Grid. They've got 3 multiple dips that dip way down. Now, it's not exactly a power position for Defeaters, but they can keep their head down and remain safe while the rest of the lobby kind of grinds it out, and then there's less players for them to deal with.
Yeah, great point made, Zute. Great point made indeed. Red Moon going to be in one of those power grid buildings as well. I think it's a pretty big open warehouse on board. Mega Power to the south of them. You have FTY, let's not forget about them. They're a team not to be messed with on the southern edge of the circle, while Douse Legion kind of benefited with some of these hardships, have the northern side of this circle pretty much to themselves outside of uncalled for.
Team Kingsman and Sorry for Skill. These are the 2 teams that really need to make a move in right now. They're on the cusp of the edge, but not further in enough, and FTY joining in on the fight. I mean, this was not the team they were even trying to break into. I think they were looking at 4 Romanian boys position.
Yeah.
But this edge congested, and it is going to lay hurt on them. If FTY and 4 Romanian boys are the teams you're going to fight into, good luck to you, sir.
Couldn't have said that better myself, and that's why I kind of said don't forget about FTY and what they can do in these games. They don't really push it, and I do respect that. A little bit of a third party from another angle as one of the FTY players was knocked out means that they don't want to overextend and over push their current position. Really valuable decision making from FTY. 4 Romanian boys now starting to be put under a little bit of pressure. Team Kingsman gets that 4th player up and they move closer into 4 Romanian boys compound. The next circle is about to pop up. It shifts up north. Sorry for Skill has 1 player down, another player knocked. X team pushing them back closer and closer, further into the depths and destruction of this Miramar map. Things are heating up.
X team right now with only 1 kill. Sorry for Skill down to 2. That circle shift did not do them any favors. X team, I know they want the kill points, but they have the circle next to them. They could just get the kills later on. Plus, with 4 Romanian boys on the high ground, it would be risky for them to overcommit, and I think they realize that. Great disengagement. Meanwhile, Team Kingsman still have to move up further, and this fight between 4 Romanian boys and them is really going to start breaking out. But FTY has also joined the fight on another front. It is a 3-way team fight right now.
I asked a simple question to the Jerry. I said, are the team confident? And he said, absolutely confident. We made a change in the roster to see how it turns out. And we're seeing it right in front of our very eyes. 4 Romanian boys struggle to hold on to the compound. Biscay is brought back up from his knees. But it's not going to be easy for him. Picks up a juicy crate drop. 3 teams inside the vicinity on the edge of the circle. Twistus is knocked down. Notorious is knocked down as well. They tried to go for a dynamic rotation, but they go closer into the loving arms of XC while Bright shines a light onto the member of Team Kingsman, and they are down and out of this game in 13th.
One of the biggest mistakes I see out of PMCO Imperium, when you have 4 players alive, utilize those 4 players. Take the fight. Don't go put yourselves in a bad position where it doesn't matter if you have 4 or 8 players. You just get wiped out. And 4 Romanian boys, they take advantage of that mistake. FTY trying to hold on right now. 1 player knocked.
I like that FTY brought 4 players much closer together. I'd like if Biscay could stop getting knocked down to his knees. That would be really great. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Got to throw a little bit of shade in his direction. Humble him a little bit. Well, X team, credit to them. They've been proactive as well as moving to these circles. They've had a great balance on board, and it's been a deserved amount of kills for the time being. Uncalled for. Their game 3 ends not the way they want the things to continue, but I'm still holding out hope for them. While Ray, Redox bot, he gets knocked by Mega Power.
The 2 big teams, FTY, 4 Romanian boys, committing to that team fight. FTY, this is what the Kingsmen should have done, but at least they went down fighting, and at least they secured themselves 1 kill point. The Kingsmen should have done the same, but 4 Romanian boys come out on top. And we're down to the last couple teams, and Rex is still alive in the center of the circle with just 1 player. I think he's in a little bit of a dip, keeping his head down low.
It's either a dip or a tiny little shack. I'm not exactly sure. We'll have to hopefully get a bit of perspective. 4 Romanian boys who took down the Giants FTY. That's 1-0 to Romania against the Balkans team are getting hurt on the outside of the circle. 3 seconds until the blue zone starts closing in. I don't know if it was worth going for the revive on the Bright, but he pulls it off in time. They're on the faster side of the blue zone shifting in. The edge of power grid being controlled by Mega Power wonderfully. Already 8 kills for this team.
Defeaters still in the game just as well on the east side with 3 players. These points will become so crucial to them. Red Moon, if they got the util, they could really nade out this Mega Power team. All of Mega Power pretty much stuck in one spot, but they got a lot of crates to use for cover. The grenades are going to be just ricocheting off them and keeping them safe. Mega Power, by the way, up to 9 kills already. Red Moon in the zone? Yes, in the zone, but not in the greatest of positions.
The feeder is more so dealing with the Familia for the time being. One of their players is knocked. Don't know if that revive is going to be pulled out. Red Moon looking for an opportunity to third party. Ed looking in the direction as Alicio has confirmed up that revive will not be played out. We see Douse Legion on the X team. Another confirmation on board. Douse Legion finally able to wake up in their final day of PMCO EU Group Stage. Elon trying to hang around the electricity of this power grid, seeing if it can run through his veins to keep himself alive, but he's pinched with just the blue zone closing in on this phase 6. A matter of time before he has to move out. Pre-nade be thrown out, and that's going to be Evil Boy along with his teammate. Wasted gets the better of him, and Red Moon, they push in, they take down Mega Power on the other side.
They had the crates for cover, but I bet you at least 1 or 2 of those util found the mark, and Red Moon with aggressive push takes it over. X team, one of the teams we want to focus on along with Respect. The X team just down to 1. They get that circle shift though. That player might be able to lay low and secure themselves some more placement points. Respect also down to 1. I don't know if he's in circle. It might be on the very edge. But we're down to these 4 teams, and Douse with 10 points right now and 4 players alive.
Yeah, big time. This is their game to lose in my eyes. Respect Pappy. Dinosaurs lived for millions of years in the desert landscape of Earth a long time ago, so I'm kind of not surprised that Pappy is able to survive in this harsh wasteland of a lobby in this Miramar game. Red Moon goes for the push onto the crate drop, makes it there. That spread is going to work out in their favor. Whisker is going to get knocked down by Nightmare. Doesn't spot it out. Actually, it was Simple, I think, that got that knock, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Nightmare's position is exposed. Kronos cooks up 1 nade. That's lovely. Connects, but only puts him down to half health. Another one, and another one, in the words of DJ Khaled. Let's bring it on board. Let's wrap him out into the deaths and destruction. Wasted. The family of Evil Boy, they're separated, while Douse Legion continue control this game.
I don't think anyone knows the position of the last Respect player. Now, nope. I don't think he's in zone, so he's going to have to move once the blue zone is touching him, but he could maybe pull out an upset. We saw the 1v3 happen on the Sanhok game. Pappy could do the same right now onto Douse Legion. So fingers crossed for Pappy as the X team finally goes out. He put up a huge fight and picking up 2 kills, and, well, there goes out Respect, and it's just down to Douse Legion, Red Moon, and La Familia. La Familia, 11 first aids. He's not taking the fight anywhere. He's going to stay right there and med it out.
If Nightmare or one of the La Familia players are able to get a knock into one of the Douse Legion players, it might be a little bit more beneficial. But inside the blue, Kronos trying to heal up. 10 first aids on board. He might be able to capture 2nd place off the back of it. Is this too little, too late for Douse Legion? We'll have to see exactly how many points they've gotten. But they do capture the chicken dinner in Miramar. It's a good win for them.
Today, I was not expecting the comebacks out of the teams so far towards the bottom. It's like, I mean, that first game was to be expected, where the top teams soak up all the points. But right after we saw that first game, game number 2, the underdogs soak up the points. And game number 3, Douse Legion with the win. Respect continuing a good game with their placement points. And X team, once again, not the spotlight of a chicken dinner or anything big, but that is 3 highly consistent games in terms of placement points and kill points, this X team, whatever they did, this is the way I want to see them playing if they make it into the finals.
Yeah, I agree. Fully agree. Both of those teams, our expected X team, have certainly, proved their worth in the final day of the PMCO EUS group stage. Let's have a look at the match rankings and see what points these teams capture. Got to give credit, although, once again, I think it's a little bit too hard for them. Red Moon with a good result. Taking down Mega Power, not an easy team to beat. Dallas Legion, I think they got 13 kill points and that chicken dinner. Yeah, that's 28 in total for them.
28 points is quite a lot. Now, Dallas had 55. If you tack on that 28, hey, one game left, there's always a chance for multiple teams with that one game left.
Fair.
And we've seen so many teams get put in that position, but can they close it out? Now, La Familia, 16 points, good on them. Red Moon, 15. That's a good performance, but Red Moon, I think they needed something more along the lines of like a Dallas Legion performance. X Team, that's that consistency. I think they've managed top 5 all 3 games in a row, and that consistency is shooting them up the overall rankings. Mega Power, respect for Romanian boys and defeaters. Not the best performance, but
no,
once again,
it's not, man.
They came into today with a cushion of points. So they were at 88. They get 4 more points. That puts them at 92, which is actually really good because that ties them with Chilin and Entropic. So that means the next game, they just need 1 point and they'll be secured ahead of 2 teams for that top 15. So let's move on to the second page and take a look at the teams that didn't fare so well in this Miramar match.
It's very, very scary for Cypher Skill specifically and Team Kingsman, as well as Uncalled For. Specifically Cypher Skill and Team Kingsman, because they were the two teams that were really close to that top 15 spot. Uncalled For, we gave them a lot of credit for their first 2 games, and they deserve to still be featured. But again, that Miramar blip of only 1 point is incredibly dangerous for them.
Indeed, it was just not meant to be, especially with the way it started out for them. Starting off Miramar as a 3-man, hey, they had such good performances in the first 2 games. Overall, points-wise, they need a chicken dinner the next game if they want to break that 90-point mark. And they got it in game 1. They got a second place in game 2. So it is possible. It is possible. Hopefully they start off the next match with 4. That would definitely come in handy. But besides them, there is so many teams that is just right on the cusp of things. And this is the very last match, Imperium. We're going to get into the very last match of the qualifiers. This is it.
Man, let's go for a break, because we want to show the overall standings when we come back. Get plenty of time to really set the stage for the final game. Don't go away. You're not going to want to miss it. See you in a couple of minutes. And we are back. One more game in the PMCO EU group stage, and it all comes down to this. Back into the hollow grounds of Erangel. Some teams have proven to be victorious in the first three games of the day, taking a lot of stress off their mind. But now, with that one final game, we do still see teams fighting for their spot in the top 15. I just got to say, before we go into the overall standings, Tuesday, it's now or never, man. It's now or never. This is it. Let's head into the overall standings to see where these teams lie.
Okay, we have the overall standings and a new face on the front page is X Team. That consistency has shot them above Chilin. So congrats to X Team. I would say they are comfortably into the finals. So you got one game left. Go out with a bang. You got more games coming down your line in the near future as far as the PMCO finals go. But let's go on to the second page where things get a little bit more interesting.
Respect, credit to them. 99 points, ninth place. Deserved qualification into the finals. A level of redemption and consistency that, to be fair, they really needed. Sheilin and Entropic definitely breathing a sigh of relief because teams that spluttered, choked, you could argue, to the point where they are pretty safe in terms of the overall standings. Defeaters, Zute, like, why are they making things so difficult for themselves?
They still got one game left. And at 92, I think they're pretty comfortable. The thing we want to really focus on is the top 15, right? So if you look at the 15th place team, that is Daos Legion. Of the tournament to end right now, Daos makes it in along with the 14 above them. So depending on this last game, if Daos gets 7 points, that basically means the cutoff is exactly 90. Because unless
fair.
if another team outside of Daos gets more than 90, with Daos also hitting that 90, no one really gets kicked out of 13th and 14th. So unless if two of the teams, both simultaneously, like Daos and the team, we don't see it on the screen, they're on the third page, but if another team outside of Daos, like Sorry for Skill, if they both have standout games that shoot them above 90, then the cutoff will be, a bit lower. It is getting really close. And points aside, calculations aside, it just depends on the performance on the last match.
Let's move over to the third page. Talk about those teams that you kind of mentioned. Quattro Fakers, of course, aren't playing today. Sorry for Skill, Red Moon, Team Kingsman, and Uncalled For. Four teams arguably fighting for, you could say, two spots. You could say two spots because if Sorry for Skill get 9 points or 10 points, then they overtake New Generation and All Rejection Gaming, which is great, right? Red Moon, Team Kingsman, all called for. They've got one more chance to prove they have what it takes.
The second spot only comes into play if on this last match, two of these teams break the 90-point mark, which kicks out the other 90-point from the previous day.
Yeah.
But if only one team makes the 90-point mark, they just join the rest. Because earlier, Daos is in 15th with 83. So, yeah.
If Daos Legion, real quick, if Daos Legion go out early, that does mean that cutoff point is lower than 90, right? That's the thing.
That's why I said if 2 teams are going to make it on from the current teams participating, it's that 90. But if only one team makes it, it could be a little bit below that 90-point cutoff. But I love the 90 point you established earlier on. It is looking quite accurate. But let's head on to the last page. We still have some teams here left to show. The teams playing new names, MDC and Fast Romania. This is it. Your last and final games. Go out with a bang. We've already said it. Make a name, make a splash on this very final match.
Have fun and good luck to you. We're about to get into this final game of the day. Thank you, as always, to Xiaomi for being the sponsors of this PMCO EU West. Enjoy super fast and lag-free Pubg mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. The circle look can always be on your side. Might not always be on your side. The playing path can be unfortunate, but I'm feeling that at this point, there's no more excuses. You either have what it takes or you don't. Just simple as that. Maybe that's harsh, but they've had 11 previous games to do that. It hasn't been bad for 11 previous games for all these teams. So you got one more chance.
Yeah, one final chance. The only excuse I feel like a team might be able to make at this point is if they are 1 point away from qualifying, because that always feels bad. It has happened before. Let's see if it's going to happen today after we head into the last and final game of Erangel. Let's get ready.
Flame path is on your screens. It is diagonal, starting at the military base, ending around George Paul. Kind of similar to the first Erangel playing path, to be fair. Let's hope the phase on circle is once again not massively on the east.
It's the same playing path, I think, opposite sides and in terms of where it started. But at least this time around, teams might have a better idea of where some teams might drop. Because we saw in game number 1, there were some early game fighting. So with the same exact playing path, they should have a better idea of what to prepare for. And taking a look, no teams dropping military base this time around, because in the first game we had 2 teams dropping there.
Yeah.
So neither team wants to get into that early game fight and nobody dropping on the sides of military. But now we have 2 teams heading towards Novo.
The team, just once again to reiterate for us, the teams that we're really focusing on in how they finish is Defeaters, Douse Legion, Sorry for Skill, Red Moon, Team Kingsman, and Uncalled For. New names and respect. There's nothing really to fight over for both of these teams. Phase 1 is deja vu, left, right, and center. Have we gone back into the past, Sute?
Yeah, just flipped. The plane path, that's the only thing that's different. The plane path was flipped. I would not be surprised if we see FTY in the same exact mansion spot as we saw in game number 1. However, their rotation is slower because the plane path was flipped the opposite end, and they're also fighting with a team if uncalled for. They finally get 4 players, or I mean not finally, they get 4 players into the final match. But once again, they're basically starting it off as a 3-man.
I do want to take this time to highlight Biscay of FTY individually, at least in terms of as a fragger, as just a dangerous player. The highest kill leader coming into his final day was Mazzaro, a player that has certainly proved his worth and proved himself countless times as a dangerous player with 33 kills, an average of 2.75 kills per game. Biscay on 25 kills in only 6 games. That leaves him coming in today with an average of 4 kills per game. I said at day 1 that Biscay could end PMCO as MVP as top fragger. I'm going to kind of give myself a pat on the back to the point where I think it's pretty much kind of proven, or at least it's lived up to that. We've seen light shine from other FTY players, but there's no doubt that Biscay is a man not to be messed with.
Definitely not. But the problem or the question is, can he keep that momentum going into the finals? Group stages of
Yeah.
PMCO is always a little bit different. You get multiple teams, so to say, that aren't as skilled and in a sense could be free kills, right?
Yeah.
But once you head into the finals, that's where the difficulty kind of rises up. And Rex, they've already secured their way in. New names, they're sitting at 51. It's pretty much over. They could just make a name for themselves at this point if they could wipe out Rex cleanly. And it looks like they're off to a good start. Already 2 players from Rex down and out.
Yeah.
A revive coming over on the side of new names. They could reset this in a 3v2 and even get the 4th revive, making it a 4v2.
I don't think they should even go for the 4th revive, because that allows Rexpect to reposition, and that'll leave no names in a situation where they don't know where the 2-man team is, despite having the player advantage. Though, you spot them out. The VSS from Aka is definitely beneficial at the start of a game. Broody Boy spotted out, takes a bit of damage. Credit to new names. Their last game of the PMCO, nothing to fight for, but pride on the line, and they're certainly giving it to Rexpect.
And they're gonna hunt down this fight. I like it out of new names. It's a 4v2.
Yeah.
You should always go for the 4v2. The defense though out of Rex looking good. Starting it off by Broody with that grenade. 3v2. I like the Overwatch position by Hellboy though. It will slow down that push, but that grenade bounces just slightly too far.
Like, why would you go for the revive in the exact same position that you just got knocked? It doesn't make sense. Christo turns around, gets a knock on the Salazar. Salazar kind of went a little bit too deep. Sorry, it wasn't Salazar, it was Broody Boy. Went a little bit too deep. And now that's going to be the end of Rexpect. It's still a good fight for new names. A couple of mistakes made. They lost ML for probably no reason. Still 4 kills for them.
I think the biggest mistake was what you highlighted, them going for the revive on that 4th player. That revive isn't too bad, but it's the player that went for the revive that was a mistake. He had the crucial position of boxing and keeping the Rex team stuck inside the crates, but he gave up that side of control, and you saw Rex, get a much better spot for defense, and you saw how difficult that 2v4 was for the side of new names. So that 4th revive is fine if they maintain their overall positioning in that fight. But they finish the fight off, 4 points, lose 1 player. That's definitely a point for them to learn from. Hopefully they can recognize that. And it's, well, I mean, Rexpect, they're done for now, but they're on to the finals. So we'll definitely be seeing more of them in the coming weeks.
Red Moon lost a player earlier on at the hands of Deuce Gaming on a side note, so it puts that team under more pressure. Teams are starting to make their way in. Similar to the first game, teams are positioning themselves around a kind of mansion region and a compound that's a little bit to the west of Mansion. Red Moon have gotten there before uncalled for, which is definitely a positive thing. And FTY, they've actually gone for a different pathing line into the circle compared to the first game of the day. And I kind of like that, because to me that maybe shows they're trying something new. They're pulling out something different rather than the exact same path lines every game. Familiarity can be good for a team, but when you're in a position where you know, there's nothing to lose or gain, why not try something different?
Yeah, they're forced to adapt with the rotation because they started off the loot late this time around, and we saw them get into an early scrap where they picked up a kill point. So just like we see it here, Mega Power is already here, and Mega Power, funny thing is, died here in this position in game number 1 to FTY. So there's a chance Mega Power saw in the kill feed FTY fighting early on, and they did the VOD review real quick before the 4th game started on the first match, and was like, hey, FTY takes this spot, they're a bit slower, they're fighting early on, let's not die to them again for this position and take it now, because there's a chance it might be open. And they push in the Red Moon player that was holding it by himself. I get it. There's a chance you could hold it because you scare off a team, but he's forced to fall back, and we're heading into the second circle shift.
Sorry for skill. Good spot for phase 1. I would have recommended staying there until phase 2 popped up. It's a centralized shift, a little bit of the river in play, plus Yasnaya is in the heart of this phase 2. So that's going to be tricky for these teams on how they want to commit. Sorry for skill are committing to Yasnaya. Where are they looking to go?
I think they're taking. I think they are making a mistake right now. The very center of the circle, there's a few one-story buildings that it looks like they're going to set up at. It's not the best spot. Your vehicles are going to get taken out. They are making the mistake of being center of circle. Just because it's center of circle does not mean you want to be there. If you're not going to be able to keep your vehicle safe and you're going to be pinched in from the north and south side, it's better to take an off-center position where you have an easier exit rotation if they do need to rotate. And the cars, the wheels are going to get popped.
The position they were in, right? That position that they were in would have been a lot better. So yeah, you bring up a really good point.
But they are hunkered down for now, and there's a low chance of them moving. Once a team kind of 4-man stops somewhere, the call to move again, especially after being shot at, is rarely ever made because it's just a little bit risky. Teams don't feel comfortable readjusting once they're, safe, so to say. And I would say if you're already there and stuck, just wait for the next circle. Just be ready for that rotation and keep in check which cars still have tires left.
Team Kingsmen going for wide rotation close by the Sawbar in the kind of far northern side of this circle. FTY doing something similar, but FTY pulling off a much better rotation on call for shooting up towards the members of Fast Romania, spreading them out. Simple in the kill feed. Gets knocked down from Team Kingsman, so that's potentially a good start for Team Kingsman.
Team Kingsman actually getting into a fight with FTY. FTY adjusting their rotation, have somehow adjusted their way into Team Kingsman, but does not look good for Team Kingsman. FTY got the reset on their knock player already. That player right there, you see, is about to get finished out. Team Kingsman, they had 75 points. 15 points put them at the 90-point mark with the potential of qualifying, and now they're down to 3. It's looking dire for them.
And that's the difference between rotating as a team and rotating separated. FTY rotated as a team. They were able to get the revive, able to get the counter knock. X-Team from the Yasnaya area to get a knock on the CLW, sorry for skill, but the revive, of course, being played out. New names going for a pretty deep rotation, a late rotation on phase 2 into the northwestern edge of Yasnaya. It's not a bad place to be, but very late into the circle. Luckily, they didn't have more players punished.
You saw it right there for a split second. Sorry for skill having to readjust their vehicles. I counted at least 2 cars with wheels out already. But hey, usually the circle hard shifts. It doesn't do that smack center shift. So this one goes away towards the favor of sorry for skill. Maybe I just have to eat my own words, but they're looking okay, at least, for this circle.
No, I still think the compound that we highlighted would still be a much better priority place to hold than where they are right now, because where they would have been is not only higher elevation, but there's more buildings to play around. And again, we could still see a hard shift on phase 4. You're not eating your words just yet, but I recognize that the potential is there. Team Kingsman adjusting and finally joining up as a 3-man team to enter into this phase 3 on the western edge by the riverside. Douse Legion taking their time. FTY coming in on the north, and the Feeders, a team that has stuttered their way through these first 3 games, still outside the circle.
Defeaters, they are not in the zone yet, but I would say they're pretty much into the finals. Red Moon, one of the teams not yet into the finals, making a brash rotation into the city of Yas, and this 2-2 split by X Team. Okay, X Team really showed up on the last day. I can't recall how they did in their first 2 set of games, but this split, their consistency, their performance, it's looking like a completely different team.
Well, X Team had a good start. They got 42 points in their first 4 games, but then their second set of games, they only got 26 points. That's what put them in the compromising position, was their second set of games. But yeah, you're dead right. I think this day's performances have been way better than the first set of games.
FTY and Defeaters getting into a fight right now. Close range. You see the util coming out. Biscay goes down. I know you're talking about Biscay being MVP, but he could not pull off that one. Nox now up to defend and Defeaters. 1 by 1, just pressing it down the line.
Kale cooking up a nade. That's an important one. Simple is rotating around, goes for a bit of a variable push, but does get put under a lot of pressure. Alicia, Whiskey, and Elot together, they stand united. They will fall. Simple gets knocked. Great turnaround by Alicia. Xiao, Maria, but Kale spots him out. It's still a 1v2. He's going for it. Kale clutched up earlier on, but he has to do it all again. And Kale's going to get taken out. Defeated with 4 important kills. I cannot stress that enough. 4 so important kills.
Those 4 points just really did it. And not just any 4 points. 4 points onto FTY. That's more of a confidence booster than anything for them once they get into the finals. And the next circle shift does get split between the city of Yas and the fields down south. Okay, sorry for skill. Great rotation.
Now you can eat your words.
Great rotation. At that point, for any team to be in that position in this zone, it's one of the better ones for sure. So they still may have 1 car left to use to rotate to move around, but it's getting very late into the game where it's just pretty much all guns out at this point. Dude's taking shots at the uncalled for, but not managing to land any hits. Everyone else making their way in now.
Nice rotation from uncalled for. Still, of course, going in blind. X Team still hold on to a 2-2 split, and I'm curious what you... I'm curious what you think of that 2-2 split from X Team. Are they leaving it too late to join up as a full squad, or are they like, look, it doesn't matter, it's the last game, let's try something a little bit riskier?
This 2-2 split, it's hard to say with the way the zone has, played out. Both positions could really come into play on the next circle shift. The key thing is, if a team crashes them, do they have an exit strategy ready to rejoin the other two? Whether it's crashed on the east side or crashed on the west side. That's a big question. And they did get crashed on the prison side of things. They did get a knock onto La Familia. It looks like they're going to continue to hold the 2-2. We'll just have to wait and see in the next few moments how it plays out for the X team.
Definitely a lot safer for defeaters. Those 4 kills onto FTY gives them 4 points, leaves them on 94 in total. So they're good ahead of Sheila and ahead of Entropic. Even if all of these teams were to get more points and end up on 92, etc., they'd still be safe. X team with another knock and kill onto the Familia. That's pretty important for just for their confidence. Fast Romania going for a desperate push to pre-fire. Plays in, switches over to the barrel and gets that knock, gets that kill. Defeaters now left with just 2 who are in the heart of Yasnaya. That's Legion, by the way. I believe they got a kill on one of the 4 Romanian boys players and now have decided to push in to that edge of Yasnaya region. I really hope we see a northern shift on phase 5. I want a Yasnaya finish for the final game of the group stage.
The Yasnaya finish, I I would have to pass on that, as wild and exciting as that would be. But the ending finish south of Yasnaya is pretty interesting too, because you
True.
got a lot of just open fields. You have a lot of open ground, hay bales. Those can make for some interesting ends
Yeah.
as well. But we're gonna get that circle shift. We're gonna get one or the other. That's the great part. The circle, unless if it centers up again, but we'll take a
True.
look any second now. And
Does.
hey, I think we get both of what we want. Some of Yaz end, some of the fields on the south end. I know, sorry for skill. They're feeling happy about that, but with so much of the city in still, that leaves a lot of teams left alive towards the late game.
No, Team Kingsman, I know I'm all for like reacting to the circle shift, but you've come in late to the circle, you're going in blind. I don't mind that it's as a full squad, but I really worry about that. So far in the kill feed, nothing has been punished for Romanian boys. Then of course look to wrap around the southern edge of the circle. Dynamic, it's what they do. Really confident play. Okay, Team Kingsman have made it in, and to be fair, they've taken advantage of what is still a continued 2-2 split from X Team. Now you have Douse Legion around there, you have X Team, and you have Team Kingsman. Good for the two teams that really need these points.
The Kingsman, I like that. I like that rotation by Team Kingsman. We're getting so late into the zone. Everything is taken, so it doesn't matter really if you're going in blind. At least, as long as they go in expecting a fight and rotating together, that's the most you can hope for in a zone like this late into the circle.
Lovely Molly. Lovely Molly.
Got their spot. Douse Legion with only one kill so far, but they have there is a chance for them to break that 90-point mark and secure a spot for themselves in the finals.
Mega Power are going up against 4 Romanian boys and pretty much come out on top, to be fair. MDC and the field as nice, snaking it through, sorry for skill. Still on the southern edge. The cluster of teams inside these Yasnaya buildings is wild. It's like, as you say, a colorful rainbow. MDC, KS go down. Like I said, Mega Power for Romanian boys. Mega Power predominantly coming out on top.
For Romanian boys, they did the wrap around for Mega Power's position. I'm not all too surprised. 2 of the strongest teams have decided to control this fight, because if you take a look at it, there's a way to fight in. There's a way to take out the team in front of you. And for Romanian boys, yeah, great bait. They get that knock. They still got more players to deal with.
Oh my god! Red Ox spot! Man, I featured Biscay, but this guy deserves a lot of respect, a lot of love for how much he's proven himself as a player between the ESL Mobile Open victory and this PMCO. This team, this player stepped up, becoming the heart of Romania in this PMCO, but the heart is going to get broken down by a lovely nade by Felabot. These 4 Romanian boys left to just one player. Right. Can he save it? Use a first aid. The circle has shifted over to Yasnaya, so good for all of these teams that are inside the buildings for Romanian boys go down.
Oh, he wanted to get that thirst. That thirst ended up biting him in the back. So that is 4 Romanian boys out. Mega Power down to 2. And yes, this shift, we get both of what we wanted. Some of the field and then some of the high-rise apartment buildings. This is going to be one cluster of an ending. It is going to be fights all out every which way, and I imagine the medkits might come into huge play in regards to who's going to qualify for the finals.
Deuce Gaming going on a wing and a prayer with the rotation. Kobo nearly spots him out. If not, he's going to go into loving arms of Mega Power, and just goes down just like I thought. The feeders getting pushed back by Douse Legion. Douse Legion looking to really solidify themselves in this top 15. The final spot is theirs for the taking. Making the butt cheeks of the teams around them that aren't playing today. Douse Legion on 3 kills already. Elon by the wall side. Sorry for skill. Another team currently on 81 points, 18th in the standing, still a full squad up.
Oh man, Imperium, my butt is clenching or starting to clench right now in anticipation of what a phenomenal final last game we're about to see. So many teams that have a chance in for that 15th place spot, for that 15th place qualification is still alive. Douse, the Kingsmans, and sorry for skill, all alive. It could go either way. The next circle is really going to determine which side is favored. Will Sorry for skill get that circle blessed on Southwest, or are we going to see it in the buildings of Dasnaya?
Uncalled for go down. Their PMCO journey ends. Started on the massively high note. They had a big giant mountain to climb, and it only hits a certain point. Mega Power is still alive. Sorry for skill. That full squad power is so good, and they even have two players a little bit more forward. I would argue they're not really protecting too much of the Yasnaya buildings, to be fair, but with this next circle shift going down south, they are the only team with any real solid circle position.
Here's how it's going to play out in my mind right now. So Douse in 15th place, but Sorry for skill has a good chance of passing them up with that circle shift. So if Douse hit that 90-point mark, and then Douse gets a really good last game and also hit 90 points, there's a chance both Douse and Sorry for skill could make it into the finals of PMCO, but this is not a good start.
Oh, so close, yet so far. Nearly got the second knock, nearly got the third, but we turn our attention to Team Kingsman. 75 points in 20th place coming into this final game. They lost a player, Notorious. Well, let's see if they can turn the Notorious into a BIG big game result and take down X Team. Gold touch, one or two players alive. They have the body advantage. The blue zone's closing in. You don't go through the window like that. The animation gives you nothing to go for. Soft is knocked down. 34 Skyline can't provide a cover. Twist is still inside the building. The blue zone is going to hit him, and 34 Skyline is down, prone in amongst the smoke, knowing that with only one kill and still with a number of players alive, it's desperate times, desperate measures for Team Kingsmen.
Oh, gold touch is on the right-hand side, but he gets shot by the third party. Team Kingsman down to two players, but one of them is just healing in the blue.
Gosh.
I don't agree with that. They need more points. They should both be out fighting.
Oh, he stands up. Maybe he hasn't spotted Douse Legion in front of him. That noise would have been made, but a third party, I believe. Skyline gets Sava. Team Kingsmans are doing it. 3 teams left. We're down to our final 8 players. Mega Power are fine. They're secured. It doesn't matter. But sorry for skill and Team Kingsman. Are they going to make their play? Are they going to book their spot in the PMCO Finals? This is so close. Mega Power putting the hurt on the Sorry for skill. They may not be across the road, but those nades, they do them damage. They put the work in. Sorry for skill, just one player left up. Team Kingsman, he steps up. That was a mistake made, and he gets taken out in third. And that's going to be the final kill going down. That's Mega Power claiming the last chicken dinner of the PMCO group stage.
All right. I know Mega Power got the chicken dinner. Good for you. Hey, go get some more in the finals. The teams I want to talk about, though. Douse, 83 points. They were in 15th. They were ahead of everyone else, and they made it pretty far. Team Kingsman, they got third place with quite a few kill points. They're also one of the teams you want to focus on. Are they qualifying? And then there's the third team. Sorry for skill. That's another team. Second place finish with a few kill points here and there. 3 teams. We were talking about there's a chance for 2 of them to qualify. If 2 of them break that 90 points, I think we might have a third team also breaking that 90 points. I mean, it's just, this is it. This is the last game. Everything is said and done. The points are being tallied right now. Imperium, what a way to finish the final game of the PMCO Group Stage qualifiers for the finals.
I love the fact that you were like, I would like a field finish. I'd like a Yasnaya City finish. We got the best of both worlds. Split down the middle. Gotta love it. Let's take it to the overall standings. I know my glasses are off, but I can still see clearly now that the reign of the PMCO group stage is upon us. Of course, the top 8 are fine. We can give a little bit of plaudits and power to Mega Power. They ended the group stage on top of 4 chicken dinners, 1/3 of their games with chicken dinners. That is big respect to them.
I love seeing in the PMCO group stage the team that takes the most commonly contested drop spot, the center of the map, is also the first place team overall. So they are utilizing that spot to the full potential. Congrats to Mega Power. This is only group stage, though. You're going to want that same number 1 spot for the finals. And before we head to the second page, Imperium, I know we can see the points ourselves if we bring it up on the Discord, but I personally have not seen the second page to see who's... You haven't either? That is perfect.
No, I haven't.
Both our reactions, along with the viewers, we're all about to see it for the very first time. Imperium, are you ready?
I'm ready, baby. I was born ready.
All right, let's flip it over to the second page. Drummel and
leaves us waiting.
Oh,
man. Sorry for skill. That result was enough. Defeaters, they got 97 points. That was enough. Douse Legion 93. That was enough. But what did we say? We said at the start of the day, you said you were pretty sure that it was going to come down to a tiebreaker. Mm-hmm. I said that the chicken dinners count. And all Rejection Gaming, they are the 15th team to book their spot in the PMCO Finals. 90 points, the cutoff point that we said. But that juicy, sweet, succulent, smexy chicken dinner that they got during the group stage has given them what they needed.
Everything came into fruition. It was the 90-point cutoff we predicted. It was the tiebreaker we predicted. It was that one chicken dinner that separated all Rejection Gaming from New Generation. And this is the top 15. New Generation, I'm sorry, you guys came so close. Just 1 point difference. You guys would have made it in. And Sheelan and Entropic, I know you guys are watching. I know you guys kind of had, your butts clenched just as well. 92 points. Hey, congrats. Man. That cushion worked out for you guys.
Like, I can only imagine the sigh of relief that's on the face of Sans right now, genuinely in the whole of Entropic. Like, he was chatting quite a bit in the Discord group today and just kind of going, please, let us get in kind of thing. And they've got the job done. It was a little bit of a splutter, but credit where it's due. They've made it through to the finals. Of course, we have to move on to page 3 and go from
there's one more team, though.
Highs. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one more team that I want to see what happened, because the Kingsmen, or Team Kingsmen, right? They were one of the teams looking to break that 90 point, and they did so well. I would be just I wouldn't be too shocked, to be honest, but I would feel so bad. I'm predicting they came in at 89 points. I think that's how close that 90 point cutoff was. So let's take a look. Oh my. 89 points.
Yeah.
89 points. If it makes them feel any better, is if, hey, even if you got that 1 point with no chicken dinner, you still would not have made it past all rejection gaming. So that's the only silver lining I got for you boys. But hey, you guys went out with a bang. Red Moon, 88 points. It came down so close for so many of these teams.
But to kind of counter what you said about that 1 point thing, if
Mm-hmm.
last player of Team Kingsman hadn't have stood up and made some noise towards Sorry for Skill, the focus had been laid out onto Sorry for Skill for Mega Power,
Mm-hmm.
putting Team Kingsman in second.
Yeah.
That would have been enough to put them into the top 15. Fact. And I know that's
Ooh.
heartbreaking, and I'm sorry, but that,
Yeah.
we have to say that. It's cliche, it's stereotypical, it's being said till I'm blue in the face. It will always come down to every single point, every single kill, every single placement counting.
Mm-hmm.
In Team Kingsman, they couldn't take advantage of that.
Yeah. On the flip side, though, you never know what might have happened. If the
Fair.
smoke ran out, he might have been in line of sight. There's a chance Mega Power doesn't focus that dip area that shoot for skill
So
was. But
it's
that's what
dude.
makes the beauty of
Yeah,
this game. It's these
yeah,
micro decisions that impact the game. And also, you don't know if you decided to do something else, we just don't know for sure what might have
exactly.
happened. This is why I love watching this game, Imperium. This is why I also love playing this game. But let's move on to the fourth page now to round things out. The top 32, and when I say top 32, I mean these are the top 32. Don't forget,
Yeah,
some of these teams might be on the last page, but they beat so many other teams to even get a spotlight on them, to be able to compete on broadcast, to be able to have the likes of Imperium and I cast your games. That's an accomplishment in of itself, and everybody walks away with a little bit of money.
yeah. Couldn't have said that better myself. Credit played and didn't make it, and thank you for putting your heart into this game and putting in the time. I hope you all learn a lot from this failure and build yourself back up for future PUBG Mobile tournaments. This isn't ending anytime soon in terms of the ecosystem. There's a lot more to come in the world of PUBG Mobile. I know that much. Man, what a way to end the group stage. Coming down to the final game, the teams grabbing the points that they needed. Sorry for Skill. That position that you said was a little bit dicey in phase two proved to be
Oh,
worthwhile for them. Dallas Legion pulling out a good game to end the day in the buildings of Yasnaya and Team Kingsmen. Just falling by the wayside by a minuscule point. Look, Zute, it's been a blast for the group stage. It's been amazing to watch all these teams evolve, grow, and prove themselves. But let's be honest, this is only one step of the journey. It's
yes.
only just beginning. We've got the
Mm-hmm.
finals next week. You add in a juicy invited finalist team of Scrim Farm into the mix. You got 4 more days of action, 16 more games, and PMPL slots available. Yeah,
Ooh.
okay, Mega Power might have finished first in the group stage, but can they repeat that success in the finals?
Mm-hmm. It's hard to say. One thing for sure, though, the finals games is going to be at the highest of levels. We've officially weeded out the weaker teams, and maybe some teams, they're not necessarily weaker. This run for them, they just didn't quite make it. Teams like, the Kingsmen, I feel like there's a world where if they had one small difference in one small game, they're in. So don't give up for those. But the top 15, we have the cream of the crop, so to say, out of the 32
Yeah.
next week. We're going to get to see them fight back to back to back to back. No more alternating groups. It's just these guys for 4 days in a row. We get to see FTY, the Noisy Boys, Mega Powerful Romanian Boys. Every match, every game, that is definitely going to be fun to see. And I can't wait for next week, Imperium.
Giants are going to clash. Electricity is going to be in the air. And I can't wait to witness it. It's going to be an honor to cast it with yourself. And it's going to be an honor to bring it to the masses on broadcast. Thank you so much to, once again, all the teams for participating in the PMCO group stage. Thank you so much to everybody that's viewed the group stage live stream so far in the games. Thank you to everybody in the back end as well, our production, all the people in the spectator and observer slots. Genuinely, thank you. A lot goes into this, and we're just one piece of this amazing puzzle. Next week, next Thursday, same time, same place. Honest to God, you're not gonna want to miss. You're gonna tune in. There you go. Just tune in next Thursday. Okay,
Just be
same
there.
time, same place. Just be there or be absolutely square. Have a lovely evening. Stay safe. Stay awesome, and see you guys then.